My name is Nora Bennett. I'm 23, and the first credit card my parents opened in my name was approved 6 weeks after my 14th birthday. By the time I found it, the balance was not the frightening part. Neither were the late fees, the collection notices, or the loan I had supposedly taken out while I was still learning how to drive. The frightening part was how ordinary my parents had made it look. My mother had used the same careful handwriting she used on birthday cards. My father had listed the phone number that sat beside our kitchen sink. My brother's address appeared on 2 applications, tucked into the paperwork as casually as a grocery receipt. 9 years of my life had been turned into a payment plan. Before that summer ended, federal investigators had copies of every signature. My parents' business accounts were frozen. My brother's new house was pulled into an investigation he swore had nothing to do with him. And the people who had spent years calling me irresponsible were forced to explain why a 14-year-old girl had supposedly earned $48,000 a year. They thought I would protect them because I always had. They were wrong. But I need to back up. The truth rarely needs to shout. It only needs to survive long enough to be placed on the right table. If you have ever been blamed for damage someone else caused, you will understand why I remember every number in this story. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from and whether you have ever had to prove something your own family denied. Subscribe and stay with me because the first account I found was only the smallest one. The day I learned about the debt began with a cup of coffee I did not finish. It was June 11th, a Tuesday, and the air conditioning inside North Harbor Mortgage was cold enough to raise bumps along my arms. Outside, the temperature in Millbrook, Ohio, had already reached 86 degrees. The parking lot shimmered beyond the glass doors. Someone had planted red geraniums beneath the windows, but half of them were dry and folded over the edges of their plastic pots. I had arrived 11 minutes early. I remember that because I counted everything when I was nervous. 11 minutes early. 3 forms in the folder on my lap. 2 pay stubs. 1 letter from my employer. 1 cashier's check for the application fee. I had been saving for a house since I was 19. Not a grand house. Nothing with stone pillars or a double staircase. I wanted a small place with 2 bedrooms, a kitchen window over the sink, and a patch of ground where I could grow tomatoes without asking a landlord for permission. The house I had found was on Lark Street, pale yellow siding, white trim that needed paint, a maple tree in the front yard with roots pushing one section of the sidewalk upward. It cost $169,000. The second bedroom was barely large enough for a bed, but I had imagined turning it into an office. The basement smelled faintly of concrete and old rain. The back porch leaned half an inch toward the yard. I knew all of that, and I loved it anyway. I had $27,400 saved, not inherited, not gifted, saved. I started with birthday money in an old oatmeal tin, then cash from weekend shifts at Miller's Market. Then every tax refund, every bonus, and almost every extra dollar from the first real job I had ever been proud to tell people about. Junior fraud analyst at Riverstone Community Credit Union. The title sounded more important than the salary. I earned $52,800 a year before taxes. I rented a 1-bedroom apartment above a pharmacy and drove a 12-year-old Honda with a passenger window that sometimes refused to close. But I was good at my job. Numbers behaved when people did not. A transaction had a time, a merchant, a device, a place. Numbers could be hidden, moved, divided, or renamed, but they could not become innocent simply because someone smiled while explaining them. That was what I believed. Then the mortgage officer walked into the room, holding my credit report like it had leaked something onto her hands. Her name was Andrea Bell. She looked close to 50, with silver at her temples and a narrow gold watch that slid down her wrist when she sat. "Nora," she said, "before we go any further, I need to ask you about several accounts." She did not say congratulations on finding the house. She did not ask whether I wanted coffee. The cup beside me had gone cold. I wrapped both hands around it anyway. What kind of accounts? Andrea lowered herself into the chair across from me. Are you currently working with a debt management company? No. Have you filed a police report related to identity theft? No. She looked down at the report. Have you ever used another name? No. Were you previously married? I almost laughed. I've never been married. She turned the report so that it faced me. There were 6 red boxes on the first page. I knew the layout. Credit reports appeared in my work every week. I had seen people forget old store cards. I had seen medical bills reported incorrectly. I had seen fathers and sons with the same name become tangled together because one middle initial had been left out. I had never seen my own name beside numbers like those. A revolving account with a balance of $9,408, a personal loan charged off at $17,260, a business credit line at $31,700. Another card was $6,903 owed, 2 smaller accounts totaling just over $4,000. Collections, late payments, addresses I recognized, and one I did not. At the bottom, Andrea had written a total in blue ink, $86,214. I read it twice, then a third time. The room became too quiet. I heard the click of an air vent opening above us. Somewhere beyond the wall, a printer began pulling paper through its rollers. That isn't mine, I said. Andrea nodded slowly. That may be true. It is true. I understand. No. I work in fraud prevention. I monitor accounts for a living. I don't have $86,000 in debt. She did not argue. That was almost worse. She pointed to the oldest account. Do you recognize the name Calder Department Stores? Yes. It closed years ago. This account was opened in October 2017. I did the math before she said anything else. I had turned 14 that August. That's impossible. The date of birth on the application matches yours. I was in 8th grade. The Social Security number matches. I didn't have a job. The application listed your income as $48,000. I looked at her. For 4 seconds, neither of us spoke. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I said, "What address was used?" Andrea glanced down. 14 Willow Bend Road. My parents' house. The place where I had grown up. The kitchen with yellow walls. The narrow staircase that creaked at the 5th step. The mailbox my father had built from cedar and painted white every other spring. My first thought was that it had to be a mistake. My second was that someone had stolen mail. My third arrived so quietly that I almost missed it. My mother kept every important document in a gray metal box beneath her bed. Birth certificates, tax forms, insurance papers, Social Security cards. She used to tell us she was the only person responsible enough to protect them. Andrea asked me another question, but I did not hear it. I was looking at the address connected to the second account. 118 Carver Lane. My brother Caleb's first AP, Artment. A pressure formed behind my ribs. Not pain exactly, more like a door being pushed inward. When was that one opened? I asked. March 2020. Caleb had moved into the Carver Lane apartment in February 2020. My parents had paid his first 6 months of rent. At least that was what they told everyone. My mother had posted pictures of him holding a silver key beside the front door. She had written that some children were born ready to build a life. I had been 17. That same month, my father told me there was not enough money to pay the registration fee for my school's college credit math class. The fee had been $180. I paid it myself by working 2 extra Saturdays at Miller's Market. Andrea folded her hands on the desk. There are steps you can take. You will need to contact the credit bureaus, place fraud alerts, dispute each account, and probably file reports with law enforcement. Can you tell me where the business credit line was opened? I can give you the creditor name. She printed another page, Bryer County Commercial Bank. Borrower, Nora J. Bennett. Business name, Bennett Family Home Supply. I knew that business. My parents owned it. They had opened the store when I was 12, in a converted warehouse near the railroad tracks. They sold cabinet hardware, flooring samples, discount lighting, and damaged appliances bought from larger retailers. My father handled deliveries. My mother managed the accounts and spoke to customers. Kayla began working there after high school. I was never allowed near the office. My mother said I was careless with paperwork. The business line had been opened when I was 19. The authorized contact number was my father's cell phone. I pushed the page away. Andrea's voice softened. Do you want someone to sit with you? No. Are you sure? Yes. I stood too fast and caught the edge of the desk with my hip. My folder slid to the floor. Pay stubs, bank statements, and the photograph of the yellow house scattered across the carpet. Andrea came around to help. I knelt before she reached me. The photograph had landed face down. I picked it up last. For 3 years, I had kept that picture in the front pocket of my savings binder. It was the image from the real estate listing. Morning light across the porch, one upstairs curtain hanging crooked, a blue recycling bin beside the garage. I had thought buying that house would prove something, not to my parents. I told myself I no longer cared what they thought. Maybe I wanted to prove something to the 16-year-old version of me who slept with her wallet beneath her pillow because money disappeared from her room. Maybe I wanted to prove it to the girl who learned not to ask why Caleb received new shoes while hers were repaired with glue. Maybe I wanted one door in the world that no one could close unless I gave them the key. Andrea placed the report inside my folder. We cannot move forward with the mortgage today, she said. But that does not mean you will never be able to. I nodded. She gave me a packet titled Suspected Identity Theft Procedures. It was 14 pages long. I counted them in the parking lot. Then I sat inside my car without starting the engine. The steering wheel was hot beneath my palms. The sunlight reflected from the mortgage office windows and made it hard to look forward. My unfinished coffee sat in the cup holder, and the smell had turned bitter. I called my mother. That was my first mistake. She answered on the second ring. Nora, I'm in the middle of inventory. Her voice sounded normal, slightly impatient. Busy in a way that made every interruption feel selfish. I need to ask you something. If this is about Sunday, I already told you dinner is at 5. Caleb and Paige are coming at 4 because your father needs help moving the new patio table. It isn't about Sunday. A pause. What is it? I applied for a mortgage today. Another pause, longer this time. You applied for a house without talking to us? I closed my eyes. That isn't the point. It is strange that you would make a decision like that without mentioning it. Mom, you always do this. You wait until something is already happening, and then you tell us as though we are strangers. I found accounts in my name. Silence. I heard the faint buzz of fluorescent lights through her phone. In the background, a cart rolled across the store's concrete floor. What accounts? Credit cards, a personal loan, a business credit line. Did you forget something you opened in college? I didn't open any of them. Well, you must have done something. The first card was opened when I was 14. Her breath changed, only slightly. Most people would not have noticed. I noticed. My work had taught me that the body often answered before the mouth did. She lowered her voice. Where are you? In my car. Are you alone? Yes. What exactly did they show you? A person hearing this for the first time would have asked whether I was okay. My mother asked what evidence I had seen. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. The applications used my social security number. The addresses include your house, Caleb's old apartment, and the store. That does not prove anything. I had not accused her. Not yet. I didn't say it did. You are implying it. I'm telling you what was on the report. Nora, listen to me. Credit companies make mistakes all the time. The business line lists Dad's phone number. Another silence. This one lasted 6 seconds. I counted each one. Then she sighed. It was not a frightened sigh. It was the sound she made when a cashier entered the wrong price or my father parked too close to the garage wall. You have always had a habit of turning paperwork into a crisis. I stared through the windshield. What does that mean? It means there may be an explanation, but you are already making it ugly. I have $86,000 in debt. No, you have a report with numbers on it. The mortgage officer said, a mortgage officer wants to sell you a loan. She denied the loan. Then perhaps that was for the best. You are too young to buy a house. There it was. The turn. My mother could take any wound and rearrange it until I was the person holding the knife. I need you to answer one question, I said. I am at work. Did you or Dad open anything in my name? Her reply came quickly. Of course not. Too quickly. Did Caleb? You need to stop dragging your brother into every disappointment. I asked a question. And I answered it. No one in this family stole from you. I didn't use the word stole. Well, that is clearly what you are thinking. A door slammed in the background. Then I heard my father's voice, distant and unclear. My mother covered the phone. Her words became muffled. She was telling him something. I waited. When she returned, her tone had changed. Softer, almost motherly. Come to dinner on Sunday. Bring the paperwork. Your father will look at it. I'm going to request the original applications. That seems unnecessary. It's necessary to dispute the accounts. Nora. What? Before you start making calls and putting things in writing, remember that mistakes can hurt people. I felt something cold move through me. Whose mistakes? She ignored the question. Families handle private matters privately. The sentence was familiar. She had used it when Caleb was suspended from school for punching a hole through a locker. She had used it when my father's cousin borrowed money from my grandmother and never paid it back. She had used it when I found a collection notice addressed to me during my first year of college, and she told me it was probably advertising. Families handle private matters privately. It meant no witnesses, no records, no one outside the room. I have to go, I said. Do not contact anyone until Sunday. I have to go. Nora, I am serious. So am I. I ended the call. My hand was shaking. I counted the tremors in my fingers until I could no longer separate one from the next. Then I started the car and drove back to work. Riverstone Community Credit Union occupied the first floor of a brick building beside the courthouse. It was smaller than the banks with television commercials and stadium signs. We had 11 branches across 3 counties, 180 employees, and and an operations floor where everyone knew who reheated fish in the break room microwave. I parked behind the building at 12:43 p.m. My lunch break had ended 13 minutes earlier. I expected my supervisor to ask where I had been. Instead, Sheila Grant was waiting near my desk with her arms folded. Sheila managed the fraud review team. She was 61, 5 feet tall, and had the calmest voice I had ever heard. She wore square glasses with dark red frames and kept ginger candies in the top drawer of her desk. She had worked at Riverstone for 32 years, starting as a teller when deposit slips were still sorted by hand. She noticed things, not in the hungry way my mother noticed mistakes. Sheila noticed what people tried to hide from themselves. You look pale, she said. I'm fine. That answer is useful when it's true. I placed my folder on my desk. She did not touch it. What happened? I looked across the operations floor. 6 analysts sat at their computers. Marcus was speaking to a branch manager on the phone. Elena was eating crackers over a keyboard despite the sign Sheila had taped above the desks about crumbs. "Can we talk somewhere private?" Sheila led me to a small conference room beside the records office. The room contained a round table, 4 chairs, and a framed photograph of the credit union's first branch in 1973. Someone had left a black dry erase marker without a cap on the windowsill. I sat facing the door. Sheila closed it. I removed the report. I went to a mortgage appointment. Her eyes moved over the first page. She did not gasp. She did not say it had to be a mistake. She read. That was one of the reasons I trusted her. After 2 minutes, she asked, "How many accounts do you recognize?" "None." "Addresses?" "3. My parents' house, my brother's old apartment, and my parents' business." "Phone numbers?" "My father's." "Have you spoken to them?" "My mother." Sheila's mouth tightened. What did she say? That credit companies make mistakes. That I shouldn't contact anyone before Sunday. Did she deny opening the accounts? Yes. How did she deny it? I looked at her. What do you mean? What were her exact words? I thought back. No one in this family stole from you. She said no one in the family stole from me. Did you ask whether anyone stole from you? No. Sheila slid the report back. Do not confront them again. The words were firm enough to stop me. I have to find out what happened. You do. But finding out and confronting them are not the same thing. They might have an explanation. They might. You don't sound like you believe that. My belief is not evidence. She tapped one red box with her index finger. This is evidence that an account exists. The application is evidence of what someone claimed. Device records, signatures, pay, meant sources, transfer destinations, and recorded calls may show who made the claim. I stared at the report. She continued. You know how we investigate account fraud here. We preserve first. We compare second. We contact people after we know what can be changed, deleted, or explained away. These are my parents. I know. My mother said to bring the paperwork on Sunday. Do not bring original documents. I don't have originals. When you get them, do not bring them. She reached for the dry erase marker on the windowsill, saw that it was dry, and placed it back down. Do you have access to your birth certificate and social security card? My mother keeps them. Then request replacements. Do not tell her. A part of me resisted. Not because Sheila was wrong, because acting secretly made the suspicion real. Until that moment, I could still imagine a clerical error, a data merge, a person with a similar name. Ordering new documents without telling my mother felt like stepping across a line. Sheila watched me struggle. You do not have to decide who is guilty today, she said. You only have to protect yourself today. I nodded. Freeze your credit with all 3 bureaus. Change the passwords on your email, banking, and phone account. Add a verbal security code to anything that allows it. Request your complete reports. Then write down the conversation you just had while you still remember the wording. I remember the wording. Write it anyway. I opened the folder. Sheila stopped me with one raised hand. Not on a company computer. I had almost made another mistake. Our work systems logged activity. My personal problem did not belong inside a customer-protected environment. I knew that. But fear had blurred the edges of things I normally understood. Sheila handed me a legal pad from the cabinet. Take the afternoon. I can work. I'm sure you can. That does not mean you should. I used my lunch break for the appointment. This is not about attendance. I don't want special treatment. Her expression softened. Nora, accepting time to secure your identity is not special treatment. I looked down. Sheila had hired me 18 months earlier. During the interview, she asked why I wanted to work in fraud review. I gave the answer I had prepared about pattern recognition and consumer protection. She listened, then asked why I had learned to recognize altered utility bills before I was 20. That question had unsettled me. I told her I had helped my parents at their store. It was not exactly a lie. I had spent years sorting mail that arrived at our house, dividing bills into piles based on the color of the envelopes, because my mother said I could not be trusted to understand the amounts. White envelopes on the counter, yellow envelopes near the phone, pink notices beneath. The flour tin where customers would not see them if they came through the kitchen door. I learned the meaning of urgency by color. Sheila had hired me anyway. Now she sat across from me as though I was not foolish for calling my mother first. I don't know what to do about the house, I said. The house will still be a house next month. Someone else might buy it. They might. I've been saving for 4 years. I know. It was the gentleness in her voice that nearly broke me. Not the debt, not the mortgage denial. Gentleness. I pressed my fingernails into the edge of the legal pad. My mother is going to say I'm overreacting. Your mother is not on your credit report. I looked up. Sheila stood. Go home. Make the freezes. Write the timeline. Tomorrow, we'll discuss how to request the applications without using Riverstone resources. You don't have to help me. No, she said. I don't. Then she opened the door. That was Sheila's way. She never made kindness sound like charity. She simply paid attention and acted as though the truth deserved competent company. I packed my bag and left through the employee entrance. On the drive home, my phone rang 4 times. First my father, then my mother, then Caleb, then my mother again. I did not answer. 4 calls, 7 miles, 3 traffic lights, 1 yellow house I no longer knew whether I could buy. My apartment stood above Bell Street Pharmacy, between a tax preparation office and a closed bakery. The stairwell always smelled like dust, aspirin, and the cinnamon air freshener the pharmacist plugged in near the back door. I climbed 23 steps. I counted those too. Inside, I locked the door and placed my phone face down on the kitchen table. My apartment was small enough that I could see most of it from the entrance. Gray couch, secondhand bookcase, 2 stools beneath the counter, a narrow hallway leading to the bedroom and bathroom. Nothing expensive. Everything mine. I opened my laptop and froze my credit. The first bureau took 9 minutes. The second took 14 because I failed an identity question about a loan I had never opened. The third asked which of 4 addresses I had lived at. One was Caleb's Carver Lane apartment. I selected none of the above. The system rejected my answer. I stared at the screen. Then I called the bureau. The automated voice asked me to enter the last 4 digits of my social security number. I entered them. It asked for my birth date. I entered it. It asked me to confirm a phone number ending in 7721. My father's number ended in 7721. I hung up. For a few minutes, I walked around the apartment without purpose. From the kitchen to the window, from the window to the couch, from the couch to the bedroom door. 12 steps each way. On the 5th trip, I stopped. I knew this feeling. It was the same one I had felt at 13 when I discovered the money missing from my dresser. I had saved $86 from babysitting. The bills were folded inside a green pencil case beneath my socks. One Friday, the case was empty. My mother said I must have spent the money and forgotten. I insisted I had not. She opened every drawer, pulled my clothes onto the floor, and searched my school backpack in front of Caleb. When she did not find the money, she sat on the edge of my bed and looked disappointed. You always create storms when you lose control of yourself, she said. Caleb leaned against the doorway, eating cereal from a plastic cup. 3 days later, he came home wearing new baseball cleats. They cost $89. I knew because the price sticker was still stuck to the bottom of the box in the trash. When I asked where the money came from, my mother said the store had been doing better. Then she gave me the line I would hear for years. Some children cost more than they give back. She did not say which child. She did not have to. Caleb played baseball. I made storms. His expenses were investments. Mine were evidence of selfishness. Standing in my apartment 10 years later, I remembered the empty green pencil case and understood that my first instinct had always been to search my own memory for guilt. Maybe I forgot. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I caused this. That was how my mother kept the room arranged. She never needed to push me outside it. She taught me to step backward on my own. My phone rang again. Caleb. This time he left a voicemail. I waited until the screen went dark before listening. Hey Nora, Mom said you're freaking out about some credit thing. Call me before you do anything stupid. There's probably a simple explanation. Dad's already stressed, and the last thing he needs is you making accusations. Call me. 27 seconds. He did not ask whether I was okay. I saved the voicemail. Then I opened the legal pad Sheila had given me. At the top of the first page I wrote, June 11, 10:02 a.m., arrived at North Harbor Mortgage, 10:21 a.m. Andrea Bell showed me 6 accounts, totaling $86,214, 10:37 a.m. Learned first account opened October 2017 when I was 14. 10:44 a.m. Learned business credit line connected to Bennett Family Home Supply. 6 a.m. Called Mom. Then I wrote everything I could remember. Her questions, her pauses, her exact denial. No one in this family stole from you. Before you start making calls and putting things in writing, remember that mistakes can hurt people. Families handle private matters privately. I filled 7 pages. When I finished, the light outside had shifted. Evening sun stretched across the kitchen floor and reached the leg of the table. My phone showed 12 missed calls, 5 from my mother, 3 from my father, 2 from Cal, and 1 from an unknown number, 1 from Paige, Caleb's fiancée. There were 6 text messages. Mom, call me immediately. Dad, your mother says you are upset. Do not make decisions until we talk. Caleb, seriously, pick up. Mom, we are trying to help you. Paige, is everything okay? Caleb said you had a problem with your mortgage. Mom, Sunday, 5 o'clock, bring the report. I did not answer any of them. Instead, I pulled an old storage box from the bedroom closet. Inside were tax returns, college records, lease agreements, and every piece of mail I had kept since moving out. I sorted until midnight. 3 piles. Current, old, unknown. In the unknown pile, I found a collection notice from May 2021. I remembered receiving it at my college apartment. The letter claimed I owed $2,780 to a lender called Easton Personal Finance. I called my mother that day because the account showed our home address. She laughed. Not loudly. My mother rarely laughed loudly. That is junk mail, she said. They send frightening letters so young people will call and give away information. It has my social security number partially printed on it. They probably bought it from a mailing list. Should I contact them? Absolutely not. Should I check my credit? You do not have enough history for a credit report. I believed her. I threw the letter into a drawer. Now I held it beneath the kitchen light. The account number matched the charged-off personal loan Andrea had shown me. My mother had known about the account 2 years earlier, maybe longer. I slid the letter into a clear plastic sleeve left over from a college presentation. Then I wrote a new line on the legal pad. May 18, 2021. Received collection notice. Mom told me it was junk mail and instructed me not to call. At 12:14 a.m., my father called again. I watched his name flash across the screen. Dad. He had always been easier to forgive because he was quieter. My mother made decisions. My father carried them out without looking at the person affected. When Caleb broke a neighbor's window at 16, my mother decided they would blame a rock thrown by passing children. My father replaced the glass after dark. When my mother took away my car keys during my first college break because I refused to cover a Saturday shift at the store, my father drove me back to campus without speaking. When she told relatives I had become distant and ungrateful, he stared at his dinner plate. His silence was presented as peace. I had mistaken it for weakness. That night, I let his call go unanswered. Then he sent a voicemail. Nora, this is Dad. Your mother is worried. Whatever you saw, there is context. You need to give us a chance to explain before you involve strangers. Come Sunday, we'll sort it out. There is context. Not there must be a mistake. Not we would never do that. There is context. I played the message twice. Then I saved it beside Caleb's. If you are already angry for me, hold on to that feeling, but do not let it rush ahead of the evidence. I nearly did. I nearly walked into my parents' house with one credit report and years of doubt. Comment the word report if you understand why seeing something in writing can change the shape of your whole past. Stay with me, because the first person who helped me did not tell me to fight my family. She taught me how to keep them from rewriting the facts. I slept for 3 hours. At 4:31 a.m., I woke to the sound of a delivery truck backing into the pharmacy alley. The warning beep came through my bedroom wall in steady intervals. Beep, silence. Beep, silence. I lay on my back and counted 20 of them. Then I got up. By 7, I had changed every password I could remember. Email, banking, retirement account, phone provider, cloud storage, utilities. I created a new email address that did not include my name and used it only for fraud disputes. I photographed every page in the mortgage packet and uploaded the images to 2 secure locations. At 8:06, I called the first creditor. Calder Department Stores no longer existed, but its accounts had been purchased by a company called Meridian Retail Credit. The representative asked for my account number. I don't have the card, I said. I never had the card. She transferred me to the fraud department. I waited 42 minutes. The hold music was a piano version of a song I recognized but could not name. A man called Aaron finally answered. He asked me to confirm the address where the account had been opened, 14 Willow Bend Road. And your current address? I gave it. Can you confirm the name of the authorized user? I didn't know there was one. A keyboard clicked. Caleb Bennett. My stomach tightened. What purchases were made? I cannot provide full transaction information until the fraud claim is verified. Can you tell me the first purchase? Another pause. A transaction for $1,142.17 at Dalton Athletic Supply. I knew the store. Dalton Athletic Supply sold baseball equipment, team uniforms, and training packages. Caleb had attended a private winter baseball program during my 8th grade year. My parents said a local business owner had sponsored him because of his talent. The program cost almost $2,000. I remembered my mother crying when she told relatives about the anonymous gift. She said good things happen to children who worked hard. Was the card used in person? I asked. I can only see the merchant category and amount. Where were the statements sent? 14 Willow Bend Road. Were payments made? For the first 11 months. From what account? I cannot provide bank details. Whose name was on the payments? I'm sorry, I cannot access that information. What happened after 11 months? The payments stopped. That would have been around the time Caleb injured his shoulder. He quit the winter program. My parents said the sponsorship ended. Maybe the card became less useful when he stopped playing. Aaron asked whether I wanted to open a fraud claim. Yes. He read a statement explaining that making a false identity theft report could have legal consequences. I listened to every word. Then I said yes again. He gave me a claim number. I wrote it on the legal pad. MR 4471932. 7 digits. I repeated them until he confirmed they were correct. Before ending the call, I asked for a copy of the original application. You will receive a fraud packet, he said. The application may be included after we verify your identity. What identity documents do you need? A copy of your government-issued identification, proof of current address, and a police report or identity theft affidavit. I did not yet have my birth certificate or social security card. My mother did. The thought made me feel 14 again. I called the state records office and ordered a certified birth certificate, $32 plus shipping, Then I began the replacement process for my Social Security card. At 9:18, Sheila texted, "Do not come in until you are ready. No explanation needed." I replied that I would be there by 10. She answered with one word. Good. When I arrived, she had placed a ginger candy on my desk. She did not ask for details until lunch. We sat outside on a bench behind the courthouse, where a sycamore tree shaded part of the sidewalk. Cars moved slowly along Grant Avenue. Someone from the courthouse smoked near the loading entrance, even though a sign prohibited it. I told Sheila about the Calder account, the first purchase, the authorized user, the collection notice, my father's voicemail. She listened with her hands folded over a paper lunch bag. When I finished, she asked, "What do you know now that you did not know yesterday?" That the first account paid for Caleb's baseball program. What else? My mother knew about at least one account in 2021. What else? My father thinks there is context. She nodded. And what do you still not know? Who filled out the applications? Good. It doesn't feel good. Clarity is not comfort. She opened the paper bag and removed half a turkey sandwich. Have you told anyone else? No. Keep it that way for now. Should I report it to the local police? You will likely need a report for the disputes, but before you choose where and how, gather what you can lawfully obtain. One clean timeline will help. More than 6 emotional explanations. I looked toward the courthouse doors. My parents will know when the creditors contact them. Probably. They're expecting me Sunday. Are you going? I don't know. If you go, do not tell them what you have requested. Do not show them claim numbers. Do not let them handle your phone. Do not accept papers without photographing them. Sheila, you sound like you think they're criminals. She took a bite of the sandwich and chewed before answering. I think someone used your identity 6 times. The courthouse door opened and 2 lawyers stepped outside carrying boxes. She continued, I have watched victims lose months because they were afraid to describe conduct accurately. Love does not change what an act is. Neither does blood. The words landed harder than anger would have. I looked down at my hands. When I was younger, money disappeared from my room. How often? 3 times that I remember. Who had access? Everyone. Did your parents replace it? No. My mother said I had spent it. Did you believe her? Sometimes. She wrapped the rest of her sandwich. Nora, you are allowed to update what you believe when new evidence appears. That afternoon, I worked my normal cases. A stolen debit card used at 3 gas stations. An elderly member tricked into sending money to someone pretending to be her grandson. A business owner disputing checks written by his own office manager. I moved through each file carefully. Time, amount, device, location, statement, contradiction. At 3:17, an alert appeared on my personal phone. Someone had attempted to access my old email account. The location showed Millbrook. The device was an Android phone. My father used an Android phone. I changed the password again and enabled an authentication app. Then I added the attempted login to the timeline. At 4:02, my mother sent a text. Your father tried to help you reset an old account because you are clearly overwhelmed. You changed the password before he could finish. This secrecy is unnecessary and hurtful. I read the message 3 times. My father had tried to access my email, not guessed. Tried. My mother had admitted it in writing while framing it as help. I took a screenshot. Then I printed it at a public copy shop after work, paying 23 cents for the page. I bought a blue 3-ring binder from the same shop, 2-inch spine, clear front pocket, metal rings that snap shut with a clean, hard sound. I did not yet know that the binder would become the central object of the next 6 months. At that moment, it was simply the only container large enough for the facts. I labeled the first divider timeline, the second credit reports, the third creditor records, the fourth communications, the fifth identity documents. I placed the collection notice inside a sleeve. then the screenshot, then the mortgage report, then my handwritten notes. The binder sat on my kitchen table beneath the hanging light. Blue cover, white label, my name printed in black ink. Nora Bennett, identity records, not accusations, not revenge, records. That distinction mattered to me. It still does. The next morning, I received an email from Meridian Retail Credit. They had accepted my initial fraud claim and attached a partial copy of the original Calder application. The file was protected by a password based on my birth date. I opened it at home before work. The application was 3 pages. Most of the information had been typed: my full name, my date of birth, my social security number, my parents' address. An employer listed as Bennett Family Home Supply. Position, office coordinator. Annual income, $48,000. Years employed, 2. I had been 14. 2 handwritten sections appeared near the bottom. Authorized user, Caleb Bennett. Applicant signature. The signature looked like my name from a distance. Up close, it was wrong. The N was too narrow. The B leaned backward. The final T had a loop I never used, but I recognized the pressure of the pen, the careful upward tail at the end, the way the writer placed a small dot after the middle initial even when forms did not require one. I had seen those habits on school permission slips, birthday checks, and notes left beside the sink. My mother had written my name. I opened the kitchen drawer where I kept old cards and found one from my 21st birthday. Nora J. Bennett, written across the envelope. Same narrow N, same backward B, same looped T, same dot after the middle initial. Inside, the card said, "We hope this year brings better choices. Love, Mom and Dad." I placed the envelope beside the application. For a long time, I did nothing. The refrigerator hummed. Water moved through the pipes in the apartment above mine. A truck passed on Bell Street and rattled the window glass. I studied the 2 versions of my name until the letters stopped looking like language. My mother's handwriting, my identity, her decision. I thought about Sunday dinner. I imagined setting the application on the yellow kitchen table. My father looking down, Caleb leaning back in his chair, my mother glancing at the signature and smiling with that sad, patient expression she used when she wanted everyone to believe I had become unstable. She would say handwriting was not proof. She would say I was attacking her. She would say the account had helped the family through a difficult year. She would remind me of groceries, school clothes, electricity, braces. Some children cost more than they give back. I could already hear it. So I did not call her. I did not drive to Willow Bend Road. I printed the application. Then I photographed the birthday envelope beside it. I added both to the blue binder. At 8:03 a.m., I walked into Riverstone carrying the binder beneath my arm. Sheila was pouring coffee in the break room. She looked at the blue cover. "You found something." I handed her copies, not originals. She compared the signature on the application to the birthday envelope. She did not declare a match. She was too careful for that. Instead, she said, "You need more samples from the same period." I have cards, school forms, notes. Collect documents you already possess. Do not take anything from their house. I know. And Nora? Yes? Do not tell your mother you have this. I looked at the copied signature. That isn't my handwriting. No. She used my name when I was 14. It appears someone did. You can say it. Sheila met my eyes. Your mother's writing appears consistent with the signature on this application. My throat tightened. Hearing another person say it changed something. For 2 days I had carried the suspicion alone. It moved in circles, touching one memory and then another. Sheila's sentence gave it edges. I sat at the break room table. Why would she do that? Sheila did not offer an easy answer. Money, control, desperation, entitlement. People can have more than one reason. She could have asked someone for help. She may have believed your identity belonged to the family. That doesn't make sense. It does to some parents. I remembered the oatmeal tin, the empty pencil case, the collection notice called junk mail, my father trying to enter my email. The pieces were not becoming more dramatic. They were becoming more ordinary. That was what hurt. My parents had not crossed one terrible line on one terrible day. They had lived on the other side of it for years. I touched the edge of the application. Should I call the police now? Soon, Sheila said. First, request the records on every account. There may be different signatures, phone numbers, and payment sources. If one person opened one account, that is one kind of case. If several accounts were opened over years, connected to a business and moved across institutions, that is another. I don't know whether I can wait. You are not waiting. You are preserving. I nodded. She returned the copies. Also, decide where the binder lives. My apartment. Does anyone have a key? My landlord. And my parents have an old spare. Sheila's expression changed. I forgot about it, I said. They got it when I moved in. Change the lock. The landlord has to approve it. Call him today. I did. Mr. Pruitt charged me $65 for a new cylinder. He installed it at 6:20 that evening while complaining about the price of brass. I paid in cash. My parents' spare key no lawn. Jeer worked. I slept with the blue binder beside my bed. The following 3 days brought more records. The Easton personal loan had been opened online in 2020 using my mother's email address with one extra letter added to her name. The phone number was Caleb's. The money had been deposited into an account I did not recognize. A furniture store card showed purchases totaling $6,900. Most had been made in the month Caleb moved into his apartment. A hardware credit line listed Bennett Family Home Supply as my employer and my father as a reference. One smaller account had paid for a phone plan containing 4 devices. My parents, Caleb, and a 4th number registered to Paige. No one had included me on the plan. My identity paid the bill. My actual phone remained on a prepaid account I funded myself. Each record went into the binder. Each fact changed an old memory. The leather couch in Caleb's first apartment, the television mounted above his fireplace, the dining table my mother said she found at an estate sale, the phone Paige received for Christmas, Caleb's baseball program, my father's new delivery van. My parents had displayed those things as proof of their hard work. Maybe some were. Others had been purchased with a child's name and an adult's lie. On Friday afternoon, my mother came to Riverstone. I saw her through the glass doors at 2:36. She wore a cream blouse, navy trousers, and the pearl earrings my grandmother gave her. Her hair was smooth. Her lipstick was the muted rose shade she used for church, bank meetings, and situations where she expected to be believed. She approached the reception desk carrying a white bakery box. My stomach dropped. Sheila stood from her desk before I could. "Stay here," she said. "She'll make a scene. Then she will make it in front of witnesses." My mother did not make scenes. She arranged them. That was worse. She smiled at the receptionist and pointed toward my department. A minute later, the receptionist called my extension. "Your mother is here to see you. I'm not available. She says it's urgent." I looked at Sheila. She held out her hand for the phone. "This is Sheila Grant, Nora's manager. Nora is working and cannot receive personal visitors." My mother's voice became audible through the receiver. Though I could not hear the words, Sheila listened. "No, Mrs. Bennett. Employees may not discuss private financial matters in the lobby." Another pause. "No, she cannot leave her workstation." My mother said something else. Sheila's face remained calm. "You may leave the box with reception if it contains no documents or personal property. Otherwise, you need to take it with you." Then she hung up. Through the glass, my mother's smile disappeared. Only for a second. She placed the bakery box on the reception desk and walked out. She did not look toward me. The receptionist brought the box to our department. Inside were 6 lemon pastries from Harper's Bakery. Beneath them lay a folded note. "Sunday at 5. We can fix this if you stop treating us like enemies. No signature, no apology, no denial. I photographed the note and added it to the binder. Then I threw away the pastries. At 3:11, Caleb texted, "Mom tried to do something nice and you embarrassed her at your office. What is wrong with you?" I saved that too. By then, the blue binder contained 48 pages. I knew because I counted them before leaving work. 48 pages. 6 disputed accounts. 9 years. 1 forged signature I could recognize. And still, some part of me wanted Sunday dinner to produce an explanation that would return everything to its old shape. Not because the old shape had been good, because it was familiar. Familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar truth. On Saturday morning, I drove past the yellow house on Lark Street. The real estate sign was still in the yard. A red banner had been attached across the top. Sale pending. I pulled over 2 houses away. For 4 years, I had imagined unlocking that front door. Someone else would do it now. Someone whose name did not carry $86,000 of hidden debt. I let myself cry for exactly 5 minutes. I watched the dashboard clock. When the 5 minutes ended, I wiped my face with a napkin from the glove box and drove home. Losing the house clarified something. My parents' actions were not trapped in the past. They were not old papers or numbers from my childhood. They were still taking things from me. A loan approval. A lower interest rate. A safe place to live. The chance to choose my future without paying for Caleb's. On Sunday at 4:52 p.m., I parked across from my parents' house. I did not bring the blue binder. I brought 3 copied pages inside a plain envelope, the original Calder application, the birthday envelope comparison, the business credit line showing my father's phone number. My phone was fully charged. Location sharing was turned off. The new passwords were active. Sheila knew where I was. I had told her I would text by 7. If I did not, she would call. That arrangement would have embarrassed me a week earlier. Now it felt like a handrail. The house looked exactly as it always had. White cedar mailbox, blue shutters, a crack across the driveway where weeds grew in a thin green line. My father's pickup stood beside Caleb's black SUV. Paige's car was parked near the garage. This was not a private conversation. They had assembled the family. I climbed the porch steps. 3. I rang the bell. My father opened the door. He looked older than he had the week before. Or maybe I was seeing the cost of his silence for the first time. "You came," he said. "You asked me to." He stepped aside. The smell of roasted chicken and lemon cleaner filled the hallway. My mother stood near the dining room with one hand resting on the back of a chair. Caleb and Paige sat at the table. 4 places had been set. My place was at the far end, beneath the framed family photograph from Caleb's high school graduation. In the picture, my mother's hand rested on his shoulder. I stood 2 feet away from everyone else. "Nora," Paige said softly. She looked uncomfortable. Paige was not cruel. Not in the direct way. She had learned to accept whatever version of events Caleb gave her, because questioning him produced exhausting answers. Caleb did not stand. My mother kissed the air beside my cheek. "I'm glad you decided to be reasonable." I came to hear the explanation. "Dinner first." "No." My father closed the front door. "Nora," he said, "sit down." "I don't want dinner." "We made your favorite potatoes," my mother said. They were not my favorite. They were Caleb's. I placed the envelope on the table. My mother looked at it but did not touch it. "What is that?" "Copies of account records." Caleb leaned back. "Here we go." I looked at him. "Your name is listed as the authorized user on a card opened when I was 14. His expression shifted, but he recovered quickly. "I was 16. How would I know where a card came from? You used it. Mom gave it to me. The room stopped. Paige turned toward him. My father closed his eyes. My mother's face remained still. Caleb looked from one person to another and realized he had answered too honestly. I mean, she gave me a card, he said. I didn't know it was in your name. I opened the envelope and placed the Calder application on the table. My mother did not look down. I have never seen that, she said. It has your handwriting. That is your opinion. The first purchase paid for Caleb's baseball program. You do not know what it paid for. It was $1,842.17 at Dalton Athletic Supply. Caleb rubbed his jaw. That program cost more than that. Paige stared at him. Again, he had answered the wrong question. My mother stepped forward. This is exactly why we asked you to come privately. You gather pieces of information, invent a story, and then attack people. I didn't invent the application. Companies make errors. Did you sign my name? No. The answer was clean, calm, immediate. My father looked at the table. I turned to him. Did you? No. His answer was quieter. Did you know about it? He did not respond. Russell, my mother said. Not Dad. Russell. A warning. My father's shoulders tightened. There were difficult years, he said. My mother closed her eyes as if he had disappointed her. What does that mean? I asked. The store nearly failed. So you said my identity? I did not say that. The business line lists your phone number. Phone numbers get reused. You still have the same number. He rubbed one hand across his mouth. Caleb pushed his chair away from the table. This is ridiculous. The store paid for everything when we were kids. Food, clothes, school. If Mom and Dad moved some money around, it was for the family. I looked at him. Did you know the accounts were in my name? No. Did you ever ask? Why would I? Because you were receiving things no one could afford. He laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because contempt was easier than fear. You have always been jealous. Of what? My life. The words hung there. Paige looked down. My mother stepped into the silence. That is what this is really about. I turned toward her. What? Caleb has built something. He works with your father. He is getting married. People trust him. You went away to college, came back with an attitude, and now you are trying to punish everyone because buying a little house did not work out. A little house. 4 years of savings reduced to a childish wish. This is not about jealousy. Then why did you call creditors before speaking to us? Because the accounts are in my name. Your name is part of this family. I felt the sentence before I understood it. My name is part of this family. Not mine. Part of theirs. A tool in the same room as the store keys, the delivery van, and the company checkbook. I spoke slowly. My social security number is not family property. My mother's eyes hardened. No one said it was. You just did. She drew in a breath and let it out carefully. Sit down. Eat. Your father has a proposal. My father reached toward a brown folder on the empty chair beside him. I had not noticed it before. He placed it on the table. Inside was a typed statement. I read the first paragraph. It said I had knowingly allowed family members to use credit accounts opened under my name to support Bennett family home supply and household expenses. The second paragraph said I had forgotten about the arrangement due to my young age. The third said I accepted full responsibility for the debts and wished to withdraw any fraud allegations. At the bottom was a signature line. Nora J. Bennett. My place. Waiting. I counted the paragraphs again. 3. Then the pages. 2. Then the people watching me. 4. My mother spoke gently. This protects everyone. Not me. It protects your father's employees. The business has 4 employees. 4 families depend on those paychecks. This statement says I opened the accounts. It says you understood the arrangement. I was 14. You were mature for your age. Kale. B stared at the wall. Paige covered her mouth with one hand. My father finally looked at me. If you sign it, he said, we can start paying things down. Start? He said nothing. You have known about these debts for years and did not pay them. The store could not carry everything. But I could? His face changed. One honest beat. Too late, but honest. No, he said. You shouldn't have had to. My mother turned on him. Do not encourage this. He lowered his eyes again. The beat ended. She pushed the statement toward me. We are offering you a way out. I did not touch it. This makes me responsible for fraud. No one is using that word except you. The creditors used it. Because you called them. Someone signed my name. My mother's mouth tightened. Some children cost more than they give back. There it was. The cruel line, placed on the table beside the forged signature and the confession they wanted me to sign. For years that sentence had made me feel expensive, difficult, indebted. That evening, it sounded different. Not true. Useful. A sentence designed to turn care into a bill a child could never finish paying. I looked at the woman who had taught me to apologize for eating food from her kitchen. Then I looked at the statement. Can I have this? My mother blinked. The proposal? Yes. Her expression softened for the first time. She thought I was considering it. Of course. I slid the 2 pages back into the brown folder. I'll review it. You can sign it now, Caleb said. I won't. My mother's softness vanished. Then the paper stays here. I held the folder against my chest. You said I could have it. I said you could review it. I am reviewing it. At this table. I stepped backward. My father moved between me and the front door. Not aggressively. That mattered to him, I think. He did not touch me. He simply stood where I needed to pass. The way he had spent my entire life standing between my mother's choices and their consequences. Sit down, Nora, he said. I counted 3 breaths. Then I lifted my phone. The camera was already open. I photographed the first page. My mother reached for the folder. I moved it behind me and photographed the second. What are you doing? She asked. Preserving the record. This is a family conversation. You invited witnesses. I looked at Caleb and Paige. Paige's face had gone pale. Caleb stood. Delete those. No. This has gone far enough. It went too far 9 years ago. My father remained in front of the door. I met his eyes. Move. Nora. Move. My voice did not rise. That unsettled them more than shouting would have. My father looked toward my mother. She gave the smallest shake of her head. Do not let her leave. That was what the movement that I knew their silent language. I had studied it since childhood. My father did not move, so I pressed Sheila's number. The call connected after 1 ring. Nora? I'm at my parents' house. My father stepped aside immediately. My mother stared at the phone. Sheila's voice was clear enough for them to hear. Are you safe? Yes, I'm leaving now. Stay on the call. I opened the door. My mother followed me onto the porch. You are humiliating us over paperwork. I kept walking. Nora, if you leave with that folder, you are choosing strangers over your family. I reached the sidewalk. The evening air smelled like cut grass and charcoal from a neighbor's grill. My hands were steady. That surprised me. I turned once. My father stood in the doorway. Caleb was behind him. Paige remained at the table. My mother stood on the porch with the white columns framing her like a photograph she had arranged. I didn't choose strangers, I said. You chose my name because you thought I would stay quiet. Then I crossed the street. My car door unlocked with one click. I sat inside and placed the brown folder on the passenger seat. Sheila stayed on the phone until I reached the main road. "What happened?" she asked. "They gave me a statement to sign." "What kind of statement?" "One saying I let them use the accounts." "Did you sign it?" "No." "Do you have it?" "I have the folder. I photographed both pages." "Good." My father blocked the door for a minute. "Did he touch you?" "No." "Did anyone threaten you?" My mother said I was choosing strangers over the family. "That is not the question I asked." "No direct threat. Drive somewhere public before you stop." I pulled into the parking lot of a 24-hour grocery store. Under the white lights, I photographed every page again. Then I emailed the images to the secure address I had created. The brown folder contained more than the statement. Behind it were payment schedules for 4 accounts. My parents had prepared a plan. They would pay $620 per month for 6 months. Then I would be responsible for the remaining balances. At that rate, they intended to contribute $3,720 toward more than $86,000 in debt. In exchange, I would admit it was mine. A yellow sticky note had been attached to the last page. "Tell Nora this is more than fair. She has no major expenses and should be grateful we are helping." The handwriting was my mother's. Same narrow N, same backward B, same careful pressure. I stared at the note beneath the grocery store lights. Then I began to laugh. Not because anything was funny, because the sentence was so perfectly her. She had stolen my identity, damaged my credit, cost me a house, asked me to confess, and still believed the favor was hers. He laughter lasted less than 10 seconds. After that, I cried again. This time I did not set a limit. When I returned home, I added the folder to the blue binder. The binder had grown thick enough that the front cover no longer rested flat. I placed the proposed confession beneath a new divider. Attempted admission. Then I opened the original Calder application one more time. My mother's signature, pretending to be mine. 14-year-old me listed as an office coordinator earning $48,000. Caleb named as the authorized user. I traced the air above the letters without touching the paper. For 9 years, my parents had relied on one belief, that if the truth ever reached me, I would be too ashamed, too confused, or too loyal to carry it outside the family. They had trained me to doubt my memory. They had not trained me to ignore a document. The next morning, I placed the binder on Sheila's desk. She read the proposed statement in silence. When she reached the yellow note, she removed her glasses and cleaned them with the edge of her blouse. That was the closest I had ever seen her come to visible anger. "They wanted you to sign this?" "Yes." "Did they explain who drafted it?" "No." "Was anyone else there?" "Caleb and Paige." "Did Paige hear the conversation?" "Yes." "Did your brother admit your mother gave him the Calder card?" "He said it, then tried to change it." "Write the exact wording." "I already did." She looked at me over the red frames. "Good." I sat across from her. "What happens now?" "Now you stop treating this as a misunderstanding." The room was quiet. I waited. She closed the binder. "You need an attorney who understands consumer fraud and identity theft. You need an official report. And depending on what the business records show, local law enforcement may not be the only agency involved." "What other agency?" "I don't know yet." "Sheila, I don't guess in fraud cases." She pushed the binder back toward me. "But repeated identity theft tied to business accounts, interstate creditors, electronic applications, and money movement can become larger than a family dispute." I thought about my mother's line. Families handle private matters privately. Maybe that was why she had been so afraid of strangers. Strangers did not owe her silence. I carried the binder back to my desk. At 10:14, an email arrived from Bryan County Commercial Bank. My request for the business credit application had been approved. The attached file contained 11 pages. The first 10 showed the company information, loan amount, revenue estimates, and guarantor details. The final page contained 2 signatures. Borrower, Nora J. Bennett. Business representative, Russell Bennett. My father's signature looked exactly like his. Mine did not. It was not my mother's handwriting this time. The letters were larger, uneven, pressed hard enough to leave marks visible on the scanned page. I recognized that handwriting, too. I had seen it on baseball forms, delivery receipts, and the labels Caleb placed on boxes at the store. My brother had signed my name. The first application belonged to my mother. The business line belonged to my father and Caleb. This was not one desperate act. It was a family system. I printed the page and walked toward Sheila's office. Halfway there, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. A woman spoke in a formal, careful voice. May I speak with Nora Bennett? This is Nora. My name is Dana Morris. I'm calling from the security division at Bryan County Commercial Bank regarding a disputed business credit line. Yes. We received your identity theft inquiry. Before we proceed, I need to confirm whether you have ever served as an employee, officer, owner, guarantor, or authorized representative of Bennett Family Home Supply. No. Have you ever entered the Bryan County branch on Cedar Avenue? No. Have you ever met with an employee named Victor Lang? No. There was a pause. Ms. Bennett, our records include a copy of a driver's license presented during the final loan verification. I didn't have a driver's license when the account was opened. The license in the file was issued in your name. My fingers went cold. What photograph is on it? I cannot describe protected documents before completing verification. It wasn't me. I understand your position. No, I mean I had a temporary permit then. I didn't get my license until 4 months later. Dana became very still on the line. I could hear the shift in her breathing. Do you have documentation showing the issue date of your first license? Yes. Please include it with your fraud affidavit. Who presented the false license? I am not authorized to identify individuals during an open investigation. Was the loan finalized in person? Yes. My father had entered a bank with someone carrying a false driver's license in my name. This was no longer a forged signature sent through a website. Someone had worn my identity into a building. I looked down at the printed application, my brother's handwriting, my father's real signature, a fake license, an in-person meeting. Dana continued. We will preserve the account records and any available verification material. You should make a law enforcement report as soon as possible. Is there security footage? Another pause. I cannot confirm specific evidence. I can tell you that preservation time limits may apply. How long? I cannot provide a guarantee. The meaning was clear. Move. Now. I thanked her and ended the call. Then I entered Sheila's office without knocking. She looked up. What happened? I placed the application on her desk. My brother signed my name. My father signed beside it. The bank says someone used a fake driver's license in person. Sheila stood. Get your binder. Where are we going? You're going to make a report. With local police? First, yes. And after that? She looked at the signatures again. After that, we find out how far your name traveled. I returned to my desk and lifted the blue binder. The metal rings pressed against the cover. The binder weighed 4 pounds and 3 ounces. I knew because I had weighed it on my kitchen scale the night before. 4 pounds, 3 ounces. 9 years of lies. And for the first time since the mortgage officer turned that report toward me, I was no longer carrying them as a daughter asking her parents for an explanation. I was carrying them as evidence. Sheila drove behind me to the Millbrook Police Department. The station stood 4 blocks from Riverstone, across from a laundromat and a narrow park with 2 empty swings. I had passed the building hundreds of times. Brown brick, blue sign, 3 concrete steps leading to glass doors. That morning the steps seemed higher. I parked beneath a maple tree and sat with both hands on the steering wheel. Sheila stopped beside my car. You don't have to tell the whole story perfectly, she said through the open window. Give them the timeline and the documents. Let the records speak where your voice gets tired. Are you coming inside? I can sit in the lobby if you want. I nodded. That was all I could manage. Inside, the station smelled like old coffee and wet floor cleaner. A television mounted in one corner showed a daytime court program with the sound turned off. Behind the front desk, a young officer looked up from a computer. How can I help you? I placed the blue binder on the counter. I need to report identity theft. Do you know who did it? I looked at Sheila. She did not answer for me. Yes, I said. I believe members of my family did. The officer's expression changed only slightly. Have a seat. We waited 28 minutes. I counted every person who entered. One delivery driver, 2 officers, a woman carrying a clear bag filled with prescription bottles, a man who asked whether his bicycle had been recovered. At 11:07, a detective called my name. Detective Luis Ortega looked close to 40. He wore a dark tie, white shirt, and no jacket. His office was small enough that the blue binder occupied most of the empty space on his desk. He gestured toward a chair. Sheila remained in the lobby. I sat alone. Detective Ortega opened a blank form on his computer. Tell me what happened. I began with the mortgage appointment. I did not begin with childhood. That surprised me. For years, every explanation I gave my family started with feelings. I felt excluded. I felt blamed. I felt something was unfair. This time, I began with dates. June 11th, mortgage application. 6 accounts. Total balance. Oldest account opened when I was 14. Calder Department Stores. Authorized user, Caleb Bennett. Business line connected to Bennett Family Home Supply. My father's phone number. My brother's handwriting. My mother's handwriting. The proposed confession. The false driver's license. Detective Ortega typed while I spoke. He interrupted only to clarify amounts and dates. When I finished, he looked at the binder. May I? Yes. He opened it carefully. He read the timeline first, then the copied applications, then the text messages. His eyes stopped on my mother's message about my father trying to access my email. This occurred after you questioned them? Yes. And your father admitted trying to enter the account? My mother described it as helping me reset it. He made a note. Then he read the proposed statement. This was given to you by your parents? At their house. Who was present? My parents, my brother, his fiancée, and me. Did anyone physically prevent you from leaving? My father stood in front of the door. For how long? Maybe 30 seconds. Did he threaten you? No. Touch you? No. Did he say you could not leave? He told me to sit down. Detective Ortega leaned back. You understand that family financial disputes can become complicated. My stomach tightened. They opened accounts when I was a child. I see that. They forged my name. I see documents with signatures you say are forged. I looked at him. The wording felt cold. Then I remembered Sheila. Belief is not evidence. Detective Ortega was not calling me a liar. He was naming what he could prove. I opened the binder to the Calder application and placed the birthday envelope beside it. This is my mother's writing. He studied them. Do you have more samples? Yes. How many? 11 from around the same year. Bring copies. Keep the originals. I will. He looked at the business credit application. And you recognize this as your brother's handwriting? Yes. Have you seen him sign documents? He worked at my parents' store. He labeled deliveries and filled out baseball forms. Samples? I have 2 old cards from him and some shipping labels he wrote when I helped at the store. Bring them. He turned to the final page. Your father's signature appears as the business representative. Yes. Do you know who presented the identification at the bank? No. He bank would not tell me. That is normal. The word normal felt offensive. Nothing in the binder should have been normal. Detective Ortega must have seen something on my face. Normal procedure, he said. Not normal conduct. I nodded. He asked whether I had ever authorized anyone to use my name. No. Did you benefit from any of these funds? No. Did your parents pay your tuition? No. I used scholarships, loans, and work income. Did they buy you a vehicle? No. Pay your rent? No. Health expenses? I was on their insurance until I was 21. I paid anything insurance didn't cover. Were you employed by the business? Not officially. What does that mean? I helped when I was younger, cleaning, filing, answering phones. I was not paid regularly. Did you complete tax forms? No. Did you receive tax documents? Not that I remember. He wrote another note. Request wage records from the tax authorities. If the business reported income under your name, that matters. My head lifted. I had not thought of that. He continued. I am creating a report today because the accounts involve multiple financial institutions and possible false identification. This may be referred to other agencies. I cannot promise who will investigate or how quickly. I understand. Do not contact the people you suspect to obtain admissions. I already confronted them. Do not do it again. Preserve all messages. If they ask to meet, do not go alone. He printed 4 pages. The report number appeared at the top. MPD 260614-184. I copied it into the binder. Detective Ortega signed the final page and handed me a card. Send additional documents through the secure link printed here. Do not email sensitive records to my regular address. Will you speak to the bank? We will begin with preservation requests. The false license is important, especially if there is video. How soon will you request it? Today. I let out a breath I had not realized I was holding. Thank you. He looked at the blue binder again. You did more preparation than most people manage before making a report. I work in fraud review. That explains the tabs. I almost smiled. At the door, he stopped me. Ms. Bennett. Yes? You may receive pressure to withdraw the complaint. I already have. It may increase. I thought about my mother standing on the porch. You are choosing strangers over your family. I know. Outside, Sheila was waiting beneath the maple tree. She held 2 bottles of water. I accepted one. Report filed? She asked. Yes. How do you feel? I don't know. That is allowed. I looked back at the station. I thought it would feel bigger. Most important things feel ordinary while you're doing them. We walked toward the parking lot. Detective Ortega said they may refer it to other agencies. They may. He told me to request wage records. That is smart. What if my parents reported me as an employee? Then you add it to the binder. Everything returned to the binder. I had started thinking of it as a second memory. Cleaner than mine, harder to confuse. At home that evening, I requested my wage history. The response would take several days. I also sent copies of the police report to each creditor. By midnight, 3 accounts had been marked as disputed. 2 collection agencies stopped calling. The business lender said it would conduct an internal review. At 12:19 a.m., my father texted. A police officer came to the store. Your mother is devastated. Call us before this gets worse. I did not respond. At 12:24, my mother sent a message. You have made a serious mistake. Once outsiders are involved, you cannot control what happens to your father. Not what happens to me. Not what happens to Caleb. What happens to your father. She had selected the person most likely to weaken me. My father had taught me to ride a bicycle. He had built the cedar mailbox. He used to bring home bruised peaches from the market because he knew I liked them better when they were soft. He had also signed a business loan beside a forged version of my name. Both things were true. That was one of the hardest lessons of that year. A person could love you in small ways and still permit enormous harm. At 12:31, Caleb called. I let it ring. Then he called again. And again. 3 calls. He left no voicemail. At 12:42, Paige texted, "I'm sorry. I didn't know about the cards. I heard what Caleb said at dinner. I don't know what to believe, but I saved the document your parents wanted you to sign because your mother emailed us a copy before you arrived." I sat up straighter. I typed slowly. "Do you still have the email?" Her reply came 1 minute later. "Yes. Please preserve it. Don't forward it through regular email. A detective may contact you." The typing bubbles appeared, disappeared, then returned. "Nora, did they really open the first card when you were 14? "Yes." She did not answer for 8 minutes. Then, "I'm sorry." It was the first apology anyone connected to my family had offered. Paige was not the person who owed it most. That made it hurt more. The next morning, I received a call from an unknown local number. I answered at my desk. "This is Nora Bennett." A man cleared his throat. "Nora, this is Victor Lang from Bryer County Commercial Bank." The name was on the business loan file. I sat upright. "Mr. Lang, I understand you filed a dispute related to the Bennett Family Home Supply credit line." "Yes. I'm calling because I was the officer who finalized that account." As Sir Sheila glanced through the glass wall of her office, I raised one finger to signal that I needed a moment. Victor continued, "I cannot discuss protected bank information beyond what has been authorized. However, I have been asked to confirm whether you attended a meeting at our Cedar Avenue branch on November 3rd, 2022. "No." "Do you know a woman named Lillian Moore?" "No." "Did you authorize a woman to identify herself as you?" "No." The room around me seemed to narrow. "Was that the person using the fake license?" "I cannot answer that directly. But a woman came to the bank pretending to be me. I am asking whether you authorized a representative." "No." "Did your parents ever mention Lillian Moore?" "No." "Did your brother?" "No." He was silent for a moment. When the account was opened, I met with Russell Bennett, Caleb Bennett, and a young woman introduced as Nora. "How old was she?" "I cannot provide a description. You met me today through my voice." "Do I sound like the same person?" "I do not remember her voice clearly." "Did she look like me?" "I am not authorized to make an identification by phone." His caution frustrated me, but I understood it. "Was there security footage?" I asked. "The bank has received a preservation request from law enforcement." That was an answer without being one. "Thank you." "Nora, there is something else." I waited. "The loan was modified 6 months ago." "I didn't know that." "The modification increased the available credit by $12,000. My grip tightened around the phone. "The report I received showed $31,700. That was the balance at the time it was reported. The approved limit was $45,000. "Who requested the increase?" "I cannot identify the person during the review." "Did they use my name again?" "Yes." The word landed like a stone. This had not ended years ago. It was active. My parents had continued using my identity while I worked every day inside a fraud department. "When was the last transaction?" "I cannot provide that information." "Was it recent?" "Yes." "How recent?" "I'm sorry." I closed my eyes. "Did the bank freeze the line?" "It is restricted pending investigation." "Restricted or frozen. No new advances are permitted." I wrote the wording down. "What happens to payments?" "They may continue to be accepted." "Who has been making them?" "I cannot provide account details." "Has anyone called the bank since the investigation began?" A pause. "Yes." "Who?" "I cannot say." "My mother. My father. Caleb." One of them was already trying to control the explanation. Victor's voice became quieter. "I want to be clear about something. I remember the meeting because there was tension between the people present. The woman introduced as you did not answer many questions. Russell answered for her. "My father, the quiet one." "What kind of tension?" "I cannot interpret personal behavior." "What did you observe?" Victor took a breath. She appeared nervous. When I asked her to confirm her address, Caleb corrected her before she answered. My pulse quickened. Did that concern you? At the time, I believed she was a young family member unfamiliar with business matters. She was pretending to be me. Yes. Did she sign the papers in front of you? Yes. Is the signature on the application hers? Yes. I looked at the copy beside my keyboard. The handwriting I thought belonged to Caleb was not Caleb's. It belonged to a woman I had never met, or thought I had never met. Did my brother sign my name anywhere? The signature on the borrower line was made by the woman. Then why did I recognize the writing? I cannot answer that. Victor gave me the name of the bank investigator handling the file. Then he ended the call. I wrote everything down. At lunch, Sheila and I sat in the same conference room where I had first shown her the credit report. There was a woman, I said. My father and Caleb brought a woman to the bank and introduced her as me. Do you know who she is? Lillian Moore. Sheila searched her memory. Does the name mean anything? No. Family friend? Not that I remember. Employee? Maybe. I opened the business loan application. I thought this was Caleb's handwriting. Why? The large letters, the pressure. Could he have taught someone how you sign? I don't know. Could he have filled out samples for her to copy? I felt sick. The false identity had required planning. A photograph, a license, a woman close enough to my age. Practice. A meeting. My father answering questions. Caleb correcting the address. This was not someone typing my information into a website at midnight. They had built a person. A version of me who entered a bank, signed documents, and carried my future out through the front doors. Do you have photographs of Lillian? Sheila asked. I don't know who she is. Search public records only. Do not contact her. That evening, I searched the name. There were too many Lillian Moores. An insurance agent in Dayton, a teacher in Indiana, a retired nurse, a college student, a wedding photographer. Then I added Millbrook. One result appeared in an old social media post from Bennett Family Home Supply. Employee Appreciation Lunch, August 2022. The photograph showed 8 people standing behind folding tables in the store warehouse. My father, my mother. Caleb. 4 employees I recognized, and a woman with shoulder-length brown hair standing near. The end. The caption listed her as Lily Moore, seasonal office assistant. She looked around 20, my age. I enlarged the photograph. Her face was narrower than mine. Her hair was darker. But from a distance, with the right license picture and people answering for her, she could have passed as me to someone who had never seen me. I searched Lily Moore instead. Her public profile showed that she had attended Millbrook High School 2 years behind me. We had never shared classes. One photograph showed her at a restaurant with Caleb and Paige. Another showed her wearing a Bennett Family Home Supply shirt. Then I found a post from November 3, 2022, the day of the bank meeting. The picture showed a coffee cup, a leather folder, and the caption, "Big Day Helping Family Make Moves." The location tag was near Cedar Avenue. I took screenshots. A public post was not proof that she had impersonated me, but it placed her near the bank, connected to my family on the correct date. I added the images to the binder and sent them through Detective Ortega's secure link. The next day, Lily's profile disappeared. Someone had warned her. At 9:42, Detective Ortega called. Did you contact Lillian Moore? No. Did you send her a message? No. Did you view her public profile? Yes. Did you interact with any posts? No. Good. Do not. Her profile disappeared after I sent you the screenshots. I know. How? We attempted to contact her. What did she say? I cannot discuss that. Did my family warn her? I don't know. Is she cooperating? Nora. The use of my first name softened the warning but did not change it. I understand, I said. We have made additional referrals. You may receive calls from investigators. Verify names and agencies before providing documents. What agencies? I cannot speak for them. When will someone tell me what is happening? When they are permitted to. The answer was not satisfying. But fraud investigations did not move according to the victim's need for relief. They moved according to records, warrants, interviews, and people deciding whether silence was still useful. 3 days later, my wage history arrived. Bennett Family Home Supply had reported income under my name for 4 separate years. 2018, $9,600, 2019, $14,400, 2020, $22,800, 2021, $26,400. I had not received those amounts. In 2018, I was 15. In 2019, I worked at Miller's Market and earned less than $8,000. The business had listed me as an employee while I was still in high school. I checked my old tax returns. The income was not included. That meant someone had either filed separate forms using my information or reported wages that created tax problems I had never been told about. I called the number provided with the WA to report. After 1 hour and 11 minutes, a representative confirmed that the business had submitted wage documents under my Social Security number. Where were the forms mailed? I asked. The employer address and employee address both show 14 Willow Bend Road, my parents' house. Were refunds issued? I cannot view that information from this department. Were returns filed under my name? You need to speak with the Identity Protection Unit. Another transfer, another hold, another person asking for dates. By the end of the call, I learned that tax returns had been filed under my name during 2 years when I had filed my own returns. Duplicate returns. The system had flagged them, but the notices were mailed to Willow Bend Road. My mother had never given them to me. The representative could not explain the full history by phone. I would need to submit identity theft forms and copies of the police report. I printed everything. The blue binder was now full. I bought a second one. Same size, same color. Binder 1 became Applications and Communications. Binder 2 became Tax and Employment Records. At the copy shop, the cashier scanned the binders and said, "Big project?" I looked down at the blue covers. Yes. What kind? Family records. That was true. The binders held more of my family's real history than every framed photograph in my parents' hallway. If this part of the story makes you feel the ground shifting under Nora's feet, comment the word binder. Not because paper is powerful by itself, but because every page removed one more place for the truth to hide. Subscribe and stay with me, because once I found the false wages, I stopped asking whether my parents had used my name. I started asking what they had built with it. The tax records changed the size of the case. Detective Ortega asked me to come back to the station on June 24th. This time, Sheila did not accompany me. I carried both binders. A second person sat in Ortega's office when I arrived. She introduced herself as Special Agent Priya Shah. She wore a charcoal suit, low black shoes, and a plain silver watch. Her hair was pulled into a knot at the base of her neck. She looked neither warm nor cold, just focused. She showed identification. I read every line. Federal Bureau of Investigation, Financial Crimes Unit. The title did not make the room dramatic. The same old coffee smell remained. A lawnmower moved across the park outside. But my parents' words came back to me. Once outsiders are involved, you cannot control what happens. Agent Shaw waited until I returned the identification. Ms. Bennett, Detective Ortega provided your report and supporting documents. I would like to ask you questions about the accounts connected to Bennett Family Home Supply. Am I in trouble? No. The answer came without hesitation. Am I considered part of the business? Records list you as an employee, borrower, guarantor, and in one filing, a partial owner. My mouth went dry. I have never owned any part of it. We understand that is your statement. What filing? We will discuss it. She placed a digital recorder on the desk. With your permission, I would like to record the interview. I agreed. She stated the date, time, location, and names of everyone present. Then she began at my childhood, not the mortgage appointment. Childhood. When did you first know your parents used your personal information? I found the accounts this month. Before that, did you ever sign business papers? No. Did you work at the store? I helped. What tasks? Cleaning, filing, answering phones, sometimes organizing invoices. Were you paid? Sometimes my mother gave me cash, $10 or $20. Did you fill out employment forms? No. Did you see financial records? Only what I sorted. Did anyone teach you how the business accounts worked? No. My mother said I was careless with paperwork. Agent Shaw made a note. Were you careless? The question surprised me. No. How do you know? Because she trusted me to sort bills by urgency. She trusted me to count inventory. She trusted me to watch the register when she went to lunch. But not to enter the office? Correct. What was kept there? Computer records, checkbooks, tax files, the safe. Who had keys? My parents and Caleb. Did you? No. She asked about the gray metal box beneath my mother's bed. Who had access? Where the key was kept? Whether I had seen my social security card? Whether my parents ever asked me to sign blank paper? I remembered something. When I was 14, my mother made me practice my signature. Agent Shaw stopped writing. Why? She said my handwriting looked childish and I needed a proper signature for high school records. How often did you practice? Several evenings. On what? Notebook paper. What happened to the pages? My mother collected them. Detective Ortega looked at Agent Shaw. Neither spoke for a moment. Agent Shaw asked, Did she instruct you to include your middle initial? Yes. And a dot after it? Yes. The Calder application had a dot after the middle initial. My mother had not merely copied my signature, she had designed it. I saw the kitchen as it had been 9 years earlier. My mother sitting across from me with a black pen. Again, she would say, make the N taller. Do not rush the B. Put the dot after the J. It looks official. I had thought she was teaching me to sign my name. She had been, say, electing samples. Agent Shaw asked whether I remembered the exact month. September 2017. The first card was opened in October. I pressed my palms against my knees. I should have known. No, Agent Shaw said. I looked at her. You were 14. She made me practice. Parents teach children to sign documents that is not suspicious to a child. She used the pages. That is an inference. A reasonable one, but we will look for evidence. Her tone was not unkind, it was exact. She asked about Caleb's baseball program, the private apartment, the furniture, the phone plan, the business. Then she asked about Lillian Moore. Did you know her? No. Have you ever met her? I may have seen her at the store. I don't remember speaking to her. Did you know she had access to your identification? No. Did your parents have recent photographs of you? Yes. Where? My mother's phone, social media, family pictures. Was your physical driver's license ever missing? I thought. At 19, I lost my wallet. When? October 2022. The bank meeting occurred in November 2022. Where did you lose it? I thought I dropped it near the pharmacy. Did you report it? I replaced the license. Did anyone return the wallet? My father. Agent Shaw's pen stopped. When? About a week later. Where did he say he found it? In his delivery van. How would it have gotten there? I had borrowed the van to move a desk. Was the license inside? I searched the memory. The wallet had contained my bank card, student identification, library card, and $2. The license was missing. What did your father say? He said whoever found the wallet must have taken it. Did you cancel the license? I had already requested a replacement. Agent Shaw leaned back. The fake license may not have been fully fake. It may have been my real license with another woman using it. The photograph was mine. Lily did not look exactly like me, but close enough for a rushed meeting, with my father and brother controlling the conversation. I felt pressure building behind my eyes. I handed them everything. "No," Agent Shaw said. "Your father found property you had lost. He kept the license. We do not know that yet. He brought Lily to the bank. We are investigating who attended." Victor Lang said, "We have spoken to Mr. Lang." Her voice remained calm. "You do not need to solve every piece in this room. I need to understand." "I know." She closed one folder and opened another. "Did you ever hear your parents discuss a company called BHS Logistics?" "No." "What about Willow Bend Holdings?" "No." "Carver Property Group?" The name sounded familiar. Carver Lane was Cal Ebb's apartment. "Yes." "Is that connected?" Agent Shaw did not answer. She slid a printed page across the desk. It was a public business filing. Carver Property Group, LLC. Registered agent, Nora J. Bennett. Mailing address, 118 Carver Lane. Formation date, February 2020. The month Caleb moved into the apartment. "I didn't create this. Do you recognize the email?" The filing listed Nora.Bennett. Office, a mail provider. "No." Phone number? Caleb's. Business purpose? Residential property management. I looked at Agent Shaw. My brother rented that apartment. Records indicate the company purchased the unit. What? Carver Property Group bought the apartment and 3 others in the building. With what money? That is part of the investigation. My name is on the company. Yes. I don't own it. Not in practice, according to your statement. On paper, you held a management role. I felt suddenly cold. My parents had not only borrowed money, they had created businesses, property, accounts, structures, all using pieces of me. What happens if the company owes taxes? That will be addressed through the proper agencies. Could I be arrested? No evidence currently suggests you knowingly participated. Currently? Agent Shaw's expression did not change. We speak carefully. I understood that. I hated it anyway. She continued. Do you know whether Caleb owns property? He and Paige bought a house last year. Do you know how the down payment was funded? No. Did your parents give them money? They said the business had a strong year. Did Caleb ever ask you to sign anything related to property? No. Did he have access to copies of your identification? Yes. At the store. At home. Did your parents know your bank account information? My mother helped me open my first account. Was it still active during 2020? Yes, but I closed it in 2021. Why? Money disappeared. Agent Shaw looked up. How much? $600. Did you report it? No. Why? My mother said it was an automatic fee correction. Did you verify that with the bank? No. Which bank? I told her. She wrote it down. The disappearance had happened during my first year of college. I remembered calling home in a panic because the money was meant for rent. My mother transferred $600 back 2 days later and said the bank had corrected the problem. The transfer memo read, "Family help." I thanked her. She had returned my own money and made it look like rescue. The interview lasted 3 hours and 12 minutes. Near the end, Agent Shaw opened the proposed confession my parents had given me. Who do you believe wrote this? My mother. Why? The phrase, sound like her. Do you recognize the formatting? Yes. Business letters from the store use the same font and margins. Did she say who drafted it? No. Did your father explain why you should sign? He said they would begin paying things down. Did anyone mention law enforcement? My mother said families handle private matters privately. Agent Shaw looked at the recorder. State the exact sentence again. I did. Had she used that phrase before? Many times. In what situations? I described Caleb's school suspension, my grandmother's missing money, a collection notice, family arguments. Agent Shaw made another note. People often use privacy language to protect dignity, she said. Sometimes they use it to protect conduct. I looked at the blue binders. My mother always said outsiders misunderstood us. Did they? I think outsiders would have understood too quickly. Detective Ortega shifted in his chair. It was the first time I saw him almost smile. Agent Shaw ended the recording at 2:19 p.m. Then she spoke without the formal interview tone. I need you to understand what may happen next. Investigators may contact family members, employees, banks, and other witnesses. Accounts may be restricted. Records may be requested. People may blame you for consequences caused by the documents. They already do. They may increase contact. I can block them. Preserve messages first. I will. Do not warn anyone about what we discussed today. I won't. Do not investigate private accounts yourself. I won't. Do not access any business systems, even if you know passwords. I don't. If someone offers you money to withdraw complaints, document it. My parents already offered to pay part of the debt. That was tied to a false admission. Preserve every version. I touched the binder. Am I allowed to tell Sheila? You may tell your support person that you met with investigators. Do not share details about entities or evidence we discussed. Understood. At the door, I asked the question I had been holding for 3 hours. Why is the FBI involved? Agent Shaw answered carefully. Because the records suggest possible identity theft across state lines, false financial documents, electronic transactions, and business activity involving more than one institution. How much money? We do not have a final number. More than 86,000? Yes. More than 100,000? She paused. Yes. More than 200? Another pause. Yes. I gripped the binder handle. How much? We are still tracing it. That was the first moment I understood that the debt on my credit report was not the full theft. It was simply the part attached directly enough to my name to appear during a mortgage application. The rest had been hidden behind companies, properties, tax filings, and accounts that had not yet failed. My parents had not placed debt in my name only to survive difficult years. They had used my identity as a foundation, and they had built on it. I returned to work at 3:04. Sheila looked at the clock, then at my face. Go home. I can finish the day. No, I'm not falling apart. You do not need to fall apart to deserve rest. I placed both binders beside her desk. The amount is more than 200,000. Her expression did not change quickly, but I saw the shock reach her. How much more? They wouldn't say. Who is involved? I can't discuss details. Good. You're not curious? I am. Curiosity does not outrank your instructions. I sat in the chair across from her. They created a company in my name. She did not ask which one. Instead, she said, that must feel like discovering a room inside your own house that everyone knew about except you. That was exactly how it felt. A hidden room, my name on the door. My family carrying keys. I went home. At 5:40, someone knocked. 3 hard knocks. I checked the peephole. Caleb stood in the hallway. I did not open the door. He knocked again. Nora, I know you're home. I remained quiet. Mom said federal agents went to the store. My pulse climbed. He knocked a 3rd time. This isn't a game. I took out my phone and began recording audio. Leave, I said through the door. We need to talk. No. You don't understand what you've done. I understand enough. The store's accounts are frozen. Agent Shaw had warned me this might happen. My stomach still tightened. Leave. People aren't getting paid. That is not my decision. It is because of your report. No. It is because of the records. He struck the door with the flat of his hand. Not hard enough to damage it. Hard enough to frighten. You always wanted this. I almost opened the door then, not to let him in, to ask what he thought I had wanted. A failed mortgage, a ruined credit report, a company in my name, a stranger carrying my license. Instead, I stayed silent. Caleb lowered his voice. Paige is asking questions. She thinks I lied to her. Did you? That isn't your business. You came to my home. You are destroying my wedding. The wedding was scheduled for September. My mother had chosen the country club, the flowers, and the menu. The invitations had gold edges. The cake alone cost $900. I knew because my mother had mentioned the price while telling me I could not bring a guest unless I paid for the extra meal. Leave, I said again. You think the FBI is going to treat you like some hero? They'll dig through everything, your taxes, your bank accounts, your job. I know. They'll find things you forged. Duh. I haven't forgotten anything. He laughed. You always say that, my mother's voice through his mouth. Maybe you forgot. Maybe you misunderstood. Maybe you caused this. Then Caleb said, Some children cost more than they give back. He had never used the line before. My mother must have repeated it after I left Sunday dinner. They were passing it around now like a family prayer. I pressed stop on the recording. Then I called the police non-emergency line and told them someone was refusing to leave my door. Caleb left before officers arrived. He sent one text from the parking lot. You'll regret making this public. I saved it. The officers took a brief report. Mr. Pruitt, my landlord, changed the exterior entry code the next morning because Caleb had somehow entered the locked stairwell. I knew how. My parents had visited before. They knew the old code. By then, every access point in my life seemed connected to them. Passwords, keys, documents, addresses, security questions. My first pet's name, my mother's maiden name, the street where I grew up. Families knew the answers because families helped create the questions. I changed everything I could. For the rest, I added verbal warnings, no information to relatives, no password resets by phone without an extra code, no address changes without written verification. At work, Riverstone's security officer helped me review whether anyone had tried to use my employee details. Nothing appeared. That relief lasted one day. Then Human Resources called me into a meeting. Sheila was already there. The HR manager, Karen Holt, closed the door. Nora, we received an employment verification request from a lender in January. For me? Yes. What lender? Midwest Equipment Finance. I have never applied there. Karen placed a copy of the request on the table. It listed me as Chief Financial Officer of Bennett Family Home Supply. Annual salary, $94,000. Employment start date, 2018. The form had been sent to Riverstone. Someone had claimed I worked at both businesses. Our HR assistant had rejected the verification because the job title and salary did not match. The lender had never contacted me. Why wasn't I told? I asked. Karen looked uncomfortable. The request was treated as an error. Was a loan approved? We do not know. Can I have a copy? Yes. I read the contact information. The applicant email was another false address using my name. The phone number belonged to my mother. The request was only 5 months old. After I had started working in fraud prevention, they knew where I worked, they knew my title, they knew my salary was not enough to support the amount they wanted, so they invented a second position. I took the copy. Sheila waited until Karen left before speaking. His is active fraud. I know. They were still applying for money this year. I know. What do you need? The question nearly undid me. Not what are you going to do? Not why did you let this happen? What do you need? A place to keep the binders. Sheila nodded. Riverstone provided a secure records cabinet in an unused office. I placed the original binders there during work hours and kept encrypted copies elsewhere. That afternoon, Agent Shaw collected the employment request. She did not tell me whether Midwest Equipment Finance had issued funds. 2 days later, the lender marked an account as fraudulent. The approved amount had been $75,000. The money had purchased 2 delivery trucks and commercial shelving. The trucks were registered to BHS Logistics, another company I supposedly managed. The total connected to my identity crossed $300,000, then 400. The numbers stopped feeling like money. They became distances. $400,000 was a road too long to see the end of. My mother called from a block number on July 2nd. I answered because I thought it might be an investigator. Nora. Her voice was controlled. I asked you not to contact me. You blocked our numbers. Yes. Your father has been questioned twice. I didn't arrange that. You called the FBI. I reported identity theft. You reported your family. You used my identity. We kept a roof over your head. For 18 years. That was your responsibility. You have no idea what it costs to raise a child. There it is. What? The bill. She went quiet. The bill you've been trying to make me pay since I was 14. That is not fair. You opened a card in my name. We were trying to keep Caleb in a program that could have changed his life. It changed mine. He had talent. I had a social security number. My voice remained calm. That made her angrier. You think you are clever because you work at a bank. A credit union. Do not correct me. The command was so automatic that for 1 second I was 15 again. Then I looked at the 2 blue binders on my kitchen table. No. Her breath caught. It was a small word. I had used it many times before, but never without explanation, never without apology. She recovered quickly. Your father may lose the store. That depends on what he did. You know what he did. He supported this family. He signed beside a forged version of my name. He believed the business would recover. So he knew. Silence. I sat very still. How long did he know? I asked. My mother did not answer. How long? You are recording this, aren't you? I was. I did not lie. Yes. She ended the call. 43 seconds later, a text arrived from the blocked number. You have become cold. I saved it. Then I wrote beneath it in my timeline, July 2nd. Mother stated father believed business would recover after I asked about forged signature. She ended call when informed conversation was recorded. Truth did not make me cold. It made the room colder for people who had relied on confusion. That was different. The next week, Paige asked to meet. Agent Shaw said I could speak with her in a public place as long as I did not share investigation details or ask her to obtain evidence. We met at a coffee shop near the interstate. Paige arrived 12 minutes late wearing no makeup and an oversized gray sweatshirt. Her engagement ring was missing. She sat across from me and placed her phone on the table. I'm not recording, she said. I am. She looked surprised. Okay. Are you comfortable with that? Yes. I started the recorder and stated the date. Paige looked toward the window. I left Caleb. I did not know what to say. She gave a bitter laugh. You don't have to pretend to be sorry. I am sorry. Why? Because you were planning a life. With someone I didn't know. The barista called a name near the counter. Neither of us moved. Paige opened her bag and removed a paper folder. I already gave this to the agent who contacted me. These are copies. I did not touch it. What is it? Emails. Messages. Things Caleb told me about money. You should not give me evidence. I'm not asking you to investigate. I want you to understand what I knew. What did you know? I knew your parents helped with our house. How much? He said 40,000. My chest tightened. Where did it come from? He said the store sold a warehouse lease. Did it? I don't know. She rubbed her hands together. After the police came, Caleb told me the money came from a company account with your name attached. He said it didn't matter because your family planned to fix your credit before you bought anything important. The words entered the space between us and stayed there. Before you bought anything important. The yellow house on Lark Street had not counted. My future did not become important until they were finished using it. What company? I asked. I'm not supposed to discuss details. Then don't. She nodded. He kept saying you had agreed when you were younger. I didn't. I know that now. How? Because your mother sent the confession statement before dinner. She wrote that they needed to get you to sign something before Nora understands how far this goes. I looked at her. Those words? Exactly. My mother knew I had only seen the surface. She wanted my signature before I found the company's properties, wages, and loans. Did you preserve the email? Yes. The FBI has it. I stared at the lid of my coffee cup. 3 brown drops had dried near the rim. Paige continued. Caleb said everyone used family members' names in business. They don't. I know. He knew the card from when I was 14 was in my name. Paige's eyes filled. He said he knew it was yours, but your mother told him it was temporary. Did he know my age? He said you were old enough to help. 14, old enough to help. Too young to vote, drive alone, sign a contract, or understand a credit report. Old enough to carry his baseball fees. Why are you telling me? I asked. Because I sat at that table and said nothing. You didn't know everything. I knew they were pressuring you. Yes. I watched your father block the door. Yes. I should have stood up. Probably. She flinched. I did not soften the word. Kindness did not require lying. Then I added, You are standing up now. Paige looked at me. Tears slipped down her face without sound. I loved him. I know. He says I betrayed him. That is the word people use when obedience ends. She took a tissue from her bag. What happens to them? I don't know. Do you want them arrested? I thought carefully. I want the records corrected. I want my name removed from everything. I want them unable to do it again. That isn't what I asked. No, I said. It's the only answer I have. I did not want to picture my father in handcuffs. I did not want to picture my mother losing the house. I did not want to picture Caleb's life collapsing. Wanting consequences in theory and seeing them land on familiar faces were different things. This was not revenge. It was a record. Records did not hate anyone. They simply refused to forget. Before leaving, Paige told me something else. My parents were planning their 25th anniversary dinner for August 16th. I knew about the anniversary, but not the dinner. My mother had reserved the ballroom at the Millbrook Heritage Club. 120 guests. Catered meal. Live music. A slideshow about the growth of Bennett Family Home Supply. They're still having it? I asked. Your mother says canceling would make people suspicious. The answer was so perfectly her that I almost laughed. What are they celebrating? The business. Their marriage. Caleb taking over. Taking over what? The store and the property companies. I looked at Paige. Does he still think that will happen? He says the investigation will disappear when you calm down. My mother had taught him well. Facts were moods. Evidence was anger. Consequences were misunderstandings. Why did you remove your ring? Paige looked at her bare hand. Because he bought it through a business card. Which business? She did not answer. She did not need to. I left the coffee shop with no folder and no new evidence in my possession. Only knowledge. Sometimes that was heavier. At 4:18 that afternoon, Agent Shaw called. I understand you met with Paige Lawson. Yes. Did she provide documents? No. Did you ask her to? No. Good. She told me about the anniversary dinner. A short pause. We are aware of it. The wording made me sit straighter. How? I cannot discuss investigative sources. Are you going to arrest them there? I did not say anyone would be arrested. Then why are you aware of it? Because it may involve statements about the business. My mother intended to present a public version of the family before the investigation could define it. She would stand beneath warm lights, thank employees, praise my father, announce Caleb's promotion, and erase me from the story. Or worse, she would include me only as the unstable daughter who had caused a temporary misunderstanding. Am I invited? Agent Shaw asked. The question surprised me. I don't know. Have they contacted you about attending? No. If they do, tell me before responding. Why? Because what they say may matter. The invitation arrived 2 days later. Cream envelope. Gold border. My name written by hand. The same narrow N. The same backward B. Inside was a formal card. Diane and Russell Bennett request the pleasure of your company as they celebrate 25 years of marriage, family, and building a legacy together. August 16th, 6 o'clock, Millbrook Heritage Club. A smaller note had been placed behind it. Nora, whatever has happened, you are still our daughter. We expect you to attend and behave with dignity. Your absence would create questions that none of us need. Mom. Not please come. Not we miss you. We expect you to attend. I photographed everything and called Agent Shaw. She asked me to read the note exactly. Then she said, do not respond yet. Do you want me to go? I want you to make your own decision. That isn't an answer. It is the only ethical one. Your attendance is personal. However, if you choose to attend, we may discuss safety and evidence preservation. Will investigators be there? I cannot answer that now. I placed the invitation beside the blue binders. My parents had spent years using my name in rooms where I was absent. Now they wanted my body in the room to support the image. A daughter seated politely at the anniversary dinner would tell every guest that the family remained united. My silence would become another document they could use, not written, displayed. I looked at my mother's note. Behave with dignity. She had mistaken dignity for obedience my entire life. The two had never been the same. I did not decide that night. I counted the days. 31 until the die. Enter. 31 days for investigators to trace the accounts. 31 days for my parents to pressure employees. 31 days for Caleb to decide whether he was a victim, a witness, or a participant. 31 days for the blue binders to grow. And 31 days before my mother planned to stand in front of 120 people and describe the legacy she had built. She did not yet understand that her legacy was already sitting in my apartment. 2 blue binders, 386 pages, every false name, every forged signature, every account, every warning, every time they told me family mattered more than truth. I closed the second binder. The ring snapped shut. Then I placed the anniversary invitation in the front pocket where I could see it. I had not decided whether I would attend, but for the first time, I knew exactly what I would carry if I did. The decision came 12 days later, after my mother sent a letter through an attorney. The envelope arrived at Riverstone by certified mail. Karen from Human Resources brought it to my desk without opening it. The return address belonged to Whitmore and Dale, a small law office above the jewelry store on Grant Avenue. I recognized the name because Bennett Family Home Supply had used them for contract disputes. The letter was 3 pages. It said my statements to creditors, law enforcement, and unnamed community members had caused financial and reputational harm to my parents' business. It described my allegations as unverified. It warned me not to make defamatory statements. It requested that I return all confidential business documents in my possession. It also suggested a private family mediation. I read the letter once. Then I carried it to Sheila's office. Do I have confidential business documents? I asked. She read the final paragraph. You have records provided by creditors about accounts opened in your name. That is what I thought. Do not respond yourself. I need an attorney. Yes. Sheila gave me the name of Daniel Cho. He had represented a credit union member whose identity had been used by a former employer. His office was in Columbus, an hour away, but he agreed to meet by video that afternoon after Sheila explained only that the matter was urgent. Daniel looked younger than I expected. Late 30s, perhaps? He wore a blue shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows and listened without interrupting while I explained the accounts, business filings, police report, and FBI interview. I showed him the letter. He read it slowly. Then he asked, "Have you made public accusations?" "No." "Posted online?" "No." "Contacted customers?" "No." "Spoken to the media?" "No." "Threatened the business?" "No." "Taken original company documents?" "No." "Accessed company systems?" "No." He leaned back. "This letter is designed to make you afraid of continuing lawful reports. Can they sue me?" "Anyone can file a complaint. That does not mean it has merit." "What should I do?" "I will respond. Briefly." "What will you say?" "That you deny possessing confidential business property, that you will continue cooperating with lawful investigations, and that all future contact should come through my office." "My mother will hate that." Daniel's expression remained neutral. "Your mother's feelings are not the legal standard." I almost smiled. He reminded me of Sheila, not in personality, in precision. He asked to review copies of the credit reports, fraud affidavits, and proposed confession. I sent them through his secure portal. When he reached the document my parents had asked me to sign, he called me back. "Did they give you time to consult a lawyer?" "No." "Did they explain that signing could expose you to criminal or tax liability?" "No." "Did they tell you who drafted it?" "No." "Did you sign or initial any version?" "No." "Good." The word came out with more force than anything else he had said. They wanted me to say I knew about the accounts. They wanted to turn a victim into a participant. That sounds harsh. It is accurate. He agreed to represent me in the credit and civil matters. His fee was more than I wanted to pay, but he allowed monthly payments. For the first time in my life, I spent money protecting myself without asking whether my family would call it selfish. Daniel sent his response the next morning. 4 paragraphs. No emotion. No accusations. No apology. The final sentence said all documents relating to Nora Bennett must be preserved, including electronic files, messages, security footage, employment records, identification copies, tax records, and account applications. My mother's attorney withdrew from the matter 2 days later. Daniel said the withdrawal could mean many things. I suspected it meant the lawyer had finally seen the proposed confession. My parents did not find another attorney willing to send me letters. They found relatives instead. My Aunt Susan called first. She was my mother's older sister and had spent most of my childhood appearing at holidays with expensive candles and strong opinions. "I heard there is some confusion about the store," she said. "There is an investigation." That word sounds dramatic. It is accurate? "Your mother says you misunderstood old business arrangements." "I did not arrange anything. You were part of the family. I was 14. She says the first account helped pay household bills. It paid for Caleb's baseball program. Well, sports can be expensive." I held the phone away from my ear for a second. "Aunt Susan, why are you calling?" "Your mother is not sleeping." "Neither am I. She could lose everything." "So could I." "You are young. You can rebuild." The sentence was familiar, even though she had never said it before. Young people could rebuild. Children could absorb damage. Parents had houses, reputations, businesses, and marriages. Important things. I had years. Apparently, those were easier to replace. "I'm not withdrawing the reports," I said. "I did not ask you to. You called to make me feel responsible. That is unfair. I have to go." Nora, family should not be destroyed over money. My family used money to destroy trust. I ended the call. Then came my uncle. Two cousins. My grandmother's neighbor, who had known my mother for 30 years. A former store employee. Every conversation began with concern and ended with some version of the same request. Wait. Forgive. Be reasonable. Protect your father. Do not ruin Caleb's future. No one asked who would protect mine. I stopped answering unknown numbers. Daniel sent a formal notice telling my parents not to contact me directly about the disputed accounts. My mother responded by mailing a box. Inside were childhood photographs. My first shoes. A hospital bracelet from the day I was born. A construction paper card I had made for Mother's Day. At the bottom was a note. Since you have chosen to treat us like strangers, you should keep the evidence that we once loved you. I sat on the floor beside the box for a long time. The hospital bracelet was yellowed at the edges. My name appeared in faded blue letters. Baby girl Bennett. My mother had saved it for 23 years. She had also used the social security number assigned to that baby girl to borrow money. Love and entitlement had lived beside each other so closely inside her that she could no longer tell them apart. I did not throw away the box. I did not return it. I placed it in the top of my closet and sent the note to Daniel. He added it to his records. The anniversary invitation remained on my kitchen table. Every evening, I looked at it while eating dinner. The Heritage Club. August 16th, 6 o'clock. Family, marriage, and building a legacy together. On August 3rd, Agent Shaw called me into another meeting. This time, we met at the FBI field office in Columbus. The building had mirrored windows and a lobby where every sound seemed controlled. I went through security, surrendered my phone temporarily, and followed an agent into a conference room. Agent Shaw sat beside a federal prosecutor named Melissa Warren. Warren was in her early 40s, with short blonde hair and a legal pad filled with small, slanted writing. She explained that I was not a target. Then she asked me to confirm that I understood the difference between a witness and a subject. I did. They showed me more documents: a property loan, a commercial equipment agreement, tax filings, an insurance policy. My name appeared on all of them. Some listed me as an owner. Some listed me as an employee. One listed me as the person responsible for financial reporting. The total amount connected to my identity had reached $612,000. Not all of it was unpaid. Some loans had been paid down using money from other loans. Funds moved from one company to another, then back to the store. My name served as borrower, employee, guarantor, and owner depending on what each application needed. Why me? I asked. Warren looked at Agent Shaw. Agent Shaw answered, "Your credit file was nearly empty when the conduct began. Your age made you unlikely to monitor it. Your family had access to your documents, signature samples, mail, and personal history. Why not Caleb? His credit had already been damaged by an auto loan default when he was 18. I did not know about that. My parents had protected his damaged credit by using mine. What about my father's credit? Several business obligations already appeared under his name. And my mother? Her credit was limited by personal debts. So they had not chosen me by accident. I was the clean space, the unused page, the child least likely to be believed if she protested. Warren turned to the false driver's license. Lillian Moore has admitted attending the bank meeting. My breath caught. She admitted pretending to be me? She admitted presenting identification in your name and signing documents. Why? She says Diane Bennett told her the arrangement was lawful and temporary. My mother recruited her? That is her statement. How much was she paid? $500 and several weeks of wages not tied to hours worked. $500. Someone had worn my identity into a bank for less than the price of 1 month's rent. Did Lily know I had not agreed? She says she believed you were aware. Do you believe her? Warren spoke this time. Our opinions are not the issue. Evidence will determine what can be proved. Agent Shaw placed a still image on the table. It came from the bank's security camera. My father stood beside Victor Lang's desk. Caleb was seated near the window. Lily sat in the chair where I should have been. My license lay on the desk in front of her. The photograph on the card was mine. Lily had styled her hair like mine. She wore glasses. I did not need glasses. She had borrowed a pair to change the shape of her face. My father's hand rested on the back of her chair, the same hand that had held the seat of my bicycle when I learned to ride. I looked away. Agent Shaw waited. Did my mother attend? No. Did she know? We have evidence suggesting she prepared documents and communicated with the people involved. What have I? No, we cannot disclose everything. Messages? Agent Shaw did not answer. That meant yes, or maybe, or simply that she would not answer. Warren asked whether I planned to attend the anniversary dinner. I haven't decided. You are under no obligation to go. Will my attendance affect the investigation? Not if you follow the instructions Agent Shaw has given you. Are you planning something that night? Warren closed her legal pad. We cannot share operational details. I looked at Agent Shaw. Then how am I supposed to decide whether it is safe? We believe you can attend safely if you choose, she said. There will be investigators nearby. Inside? I cannot promise where. Will my parents know? No. I thought about the invitation. My mother wanted a daughter in the room. The investigators wanted nothing from me except honesty. Those were different kinds of presents. Why would I go? I asked. Neither woman answered immediately. Then Agent Shaw said, Only you can decide what the event means to you. I looked at the bank photograph again. For years, my family had spoken for me. My father answered the banker's questions. My mother filled in my income. Caleb corrected the false Nora's address. Lily signed where I should have signed. Maybe I wanted to enter one room using my own face. I'm going, I said. If you are wondering why I would walk willingly into a celebration built by people who had used my name, comment the word legacy. I did not go because I wanted a public fight. I went because my silence had already been used as proof of agreement. Stay with me, because the people in that ballroom expected the same quiet daughter they had trained. They did not understand that quiet and powerless were never the same thing. Daniel helped me prepare. Not a speech, a boundary. If they insult you, you do not need to respond, he said. If they make false statements about me, you may correct direct statements. Keep it factual. If my mother asks me to speak, you can decline. What if she tells everyone the investigation is over? You may say it is not. What can I bring? Copies of documents you lawfully possess. Do not bring originals. I created a third binder. It was thinner than the others. Same blue cover. Inside, I placed 27 pages. The original credit report, the Calder application, the business loan signature page, the proposed confession, my mother's email statement reported by Page, the false employment verification, the business filings, the police report number, the anniversary invitation. I left out tax identification numbers, account numbers, and anything investigators had not authorized me to share. The binder was not a weapon, it was a boundary with pages. Sheila helped me choose the address. I owned 3 that were suitable. A black one that felt too much like a funeral. A green one my mother had said made me look tired. A navy one with short sleeves and a simple waist. I chose navy. Not warm, not dramatic. Just mine. On August 14th, my father came to Riverstone. He did not enter. He waited beside my car at 5:12 p.m. I saw him through the rear employee door and stopped. Sheila stood beside me. Do you want security? Not yet. Do not go alone. She came with me. My father straightened when we approached. He wore work trousers and a faded store shirt. There was white dust on one shoulder, probably from drywall or packaging foam. He looked at Sheila. This is family business. Sheila replied. Nora asked me to remain. I had not, but I was grateful she said it. My father held an envelope. I need 5 minutes. You can speak here. His eyes moved toward the employees' cars. Privately. No. He looked at me then. Really looked. You've changed. I changed the locks, the passwords, the way I answer questions. That isn't what I meant. I know. He handed me the envelope. I did not take it. What is it? Money. How much? 10,000. From where? Personal savings. Whose name is on the account? His jaw tightened. Mine. Can you prove that? The question wounded him. I saw it. It also exposed how little trust remained. This is not a payoff, he said. Then what is it? A start. Toward $612,000? His face went pale. He had not known the current total, or had not known that I knew. Who told you that number? Investigators. He glanced at Sheila again. They shouldn't be sharing private business figures. The figures are attached to my identity. He lowered the envelope. Your mother is losing control. She never had the right to control this. She is frightened. So am I. She does not show fear well. She shows it as control. My father looked toward the courthouse. For several seconds he said nothing. Then he spoke so quietly that I almost missed it. The first card was supposed to be paid off before you turned 16. I did not move. Sheila remained beside me. Who opened it? I asked. Your mother handled the application. And you knew? Afterward. How long afterward? A few days? You let her use it. The store was behind. The first purchase was Caleb's baseball program. He had scouts coming. I stared at him. Even now, the explanation began with Caleb's potential. What did you tell yourself? I asked. My father looked down at the envelope. That we would replace the money. It wasn't money. It was my name. I know that now. You knew it then. He swallowed. Yes. The word was barely audible. But it was honest. One honest word. 9 years late. What happened after the first card? The store lost a supplier. We used another account. We? Your mother opened it. I knew. And after that? It kept going. Did you bring Lily to the bank? He looked at me sharply. I had my answer before he spoke. Yes. Did you give her my license? He closed his eyes. Yes. Did Caleb know? Yes. Did Mom? Yes. 4 answers. All yes. The parking lot felt too bright. A delivery truck passed on Grant Avenue. I counted 5 seconds of silence before asking the next question. Why did you stand in front of the door at dinner? My father's eyes filled. It was the first time I had seen him close to crying since his own father died. Your mother said if you left with the papers, everything would fall apart. So you blocked me. Yes. You always do what she says. Not always. When did you stop her? He had no answer. I looked at the envelope. I can't take that money. It is mine. I don't know that. Nora, I don't know what is yours anymore. That sentence broke something in his face. I did not enjoy it. Truth could hurt without becoming cruelty. He placed the envelope on the hood of my car. Come to the anniversary dinner. Why? Your mother intends to say the investigation was caused by an accounting misunderstanding. That is false. I know. Will you stop her? He looked away. There it was. The old silence. The enforcer retreating behind peace. I handed the envelope back. If she says my name, I will answer. She won't like that. This is not about what she likes. He took the envelope. Before leaving, he said, I am sorry about the house. Not the accounts, not the signatures. The house. the consequence he could picture. I watched him walk toward his pickup, 27 steps. At the driver's door, he turned. "I did love you," he said. Past tense, as though love had become another business that failed. "I know," I replied. That was the problem. Love had existed. It simply had not stopped him. The morning of August 16th began at 5:47 a.m. I woke before my alarm and counted the cracks in the ceiling above my bed. 4 visible from the pillow, 1 near the window, 3 thin lines above the closet. At 6:10 I made coffee. At 6:22 I checked the third blue binder, 27 pages. At 6:45 I received a text from Sheila. "You do not have to prove your calm to anyone." At 7:03 Daniel called. "Any direct contact overnight?" "No." "Any threats?" "No." "Any change in your decision?" "No." "Then remember, answer only what is yours to answer." At 8:00 a.m., Agent Shaw called. Her voice was formal. "We expect activity connected to several business locations today." "What kind of activity?" "I cannot discuss details." "Will the store be searched?" "I cannot answer." "Should I stay home?" "No." "Continue your day normally. Attend the event only if you still wish to." "Will someone contact me before the dinner?" "Possibly." "Is my family in danger?" "Not from investigators if they comply with instructions." That answer told me enough. At 8:17 my mother called from a number I did not recognize. I let it go to voicemail. "Nora, today is not the day for bitterness. Whatever you think happened, your father and I deserve one evening that is not about you. Arrive by 6. Sit at the family table. Do not bring paperwork." I saved the message. At 9:05, Agent Shaw and a team entered Bennett Family Home Supply with a federal search warrant. I did not see it happen. I learned the time later from the documents. At 9:12, investigators secured the office. At 9:21, they collected computers, company phones, checkbooks, tax files, and the gray metal box my mother had moved from beneath her bed to the store safe. Inside the box were copies of my birth certificate, social security card, old license, signature practice pages, and mail from creditors addressed to me. She had kept everything, not carelessly, organized by year. At 9:38, investigators entered the warehouse owned by BHS Logistics. At 10:02, they secured records from Carver Property Group. At 10:16, my mother called me again. This time, I answered. "You did this today," she said. "I did not choose the date. They are taking computers. They have a warrant. You knew." I knew investigators were working. On our anniversary. The accounts did not stop being fraudulent because of the date. Her breathing was uneven. My mother, who never showed fear well. "What did you give them?" "Records in my name. All records from the store involve the family." "No. You have no right to separate yourself from what built you." I looked around my apartment. Second-hand couch, pharmacy below, 12-year-old car outside, savings account spent on legal fees and identity repairs. What exactly did the business build for me? "We fed you. You keep sending that invoice. You are cruel." "No, I am finished paying." She ended the call. At 10:31, Caleb left a voicemail. The trucks were being held. His phone had been taken. He said Paige had destroyed his life. He called me a liar. He called Lily a liar. He called Agent Shaw a liar. Everyone was lying except the 4 people whose CIAs, Tories, required forged documents. At 11:20, the Heritage Club manager contacted my mother about the final event payment. The business card on file had been declined because the account was frozen. The remaining balance was $8,460. My mother paid using a personal cashier's check. I learned that detail later, too. She could have canceled the dinner. She did not. Canceling meant admitting that the image had cracked. My mother would spend money she no longer controlled to keep the room looking whole for 3 more hours. At 12:07, the club staff continued setting tables. White linens, gold napkins, small glass bowls filled with floating candles. At 12:43, a florist delivered cream roses and eucalyptus. At 1:15, the band arrived. At 1:40, my mother sent a group message to guests saying the store had experienced a routine regulatory review that morning and the celebration would proceed as planned. Routine. That was her word for federal agents carrying boxes out of the office. At 2:05, Aunt Susan texted me, "Your mother needs you today." Whatever the disagreement, show some humanity. I did not respond. At 2:30, I showered. At 3:00, I ironed the navy dress. At 3:17, I placed the third binder in a plain canvas bag. At 3:42, Sheila arrived at my apartment. She wore a burgundy dress and carried a small silver purse. "You did not tell me you were invited," I said. "I wasn't." "Then why are you dressed?" "I'm driving you." "You don't have to wait." "I know." Sheila sat on the couch while I finished getting ready. At 4:11, she noticed the box of childhood items in the closet. "Did your mother send that?" "Yes." "What will you do with it?" "I don't know." "You do not have to decide while it still hurts." At 4:35, Daniel called again. Investigators had informed him that no action was required from me. He reminded me that I could leave at any time. At 4:58, Agent Shaw sent a short message. "Several subjects have been interviewed. Maintain your normal plans. Contact me if circumstances change." Subjects. Not parents, not family. A legal word that removed the photographs from the walls. At 5:14, Sheila and I left my apartment. The drive to the Heritage Club took 19 minutes. The building sat on a hill above Millbrook, surrounded by old oak trees and a golf course my father could never afford to join. Cars already lined the circular drive. Employees, suppliers, church friends, relatives. Customers who had watched my parents' business grow. People who believed the growth came from sacrifice. They were right. They simply did not know whose. At 5:38, Sheila stopped near the entrance. "Do you want me to come inside?" "You are not invited." "I can wait in the lobby." "My mother would remove you." "Probably." I looked at the canvas bag on my lap. "I can do this." "I know." "Will you stay nearby?" "Yes." I opened the door. Sheila touched my arm. "Quiet does not mean available for harm." I nodded. Then I walked inside. At 5:43, the club lobby smelled like polished wood, roses, and roasted garlic from the kitchen. A sign on a brass stand read, "Diane and Russell Bennett. Years of love, family, and legacy." My name appeared nowhere. The ballroom doors stood open. Round tables filled the room beneath chandeliers. A raised platform held a lectern and a large screen displaying photographs of my parents, their wedding, the first store, Caleb in a baseball uniform, my father beside a delivery truck, my mother cutting a ribbon at the warehouse. One photograph showed the four of us outside the store. I was 15, standing at the far edge, the year they reported $9,600 in wages under my name. My mother saw me before I reached the family table. She wore a silver dress and pearls. Her smile remained in place as she approached. "You came. You invited me." Her eyes dropped to the canvas bag. "I told you not to bring paperwork. You do not control what I carry." Her smile tightened. "Not tonight. Especially tonight." Aunt Susan appeared beside her. "Nora, you look lovely." "Thank you." She touched my elbow. "Let's all try to remember what matters." I remember exactly what matters. My mother took my arm and guided me toward the family table. The gesture looked affectionate from across the room. Her fingers pressed hard enough to leave marks. "Sit beside your father," she whispered. "Let go." She released me immediately. My father sat near the front wearing a dark suit. Caleb sat on his other side. Paige's chair had been removed. A place card with my name stood at the edge of the table. Nora. No middle initial. Perhaps my mother had finally learned it did not belong to her. Caleb did not look at me. My father stood. "You came," he said. "So did everyone else." He glanced at the canvas bag. "Your mother is under strain. She chose to continue the dinner. She thought canceling would look like guilt. That is not my problem." He lowered his voice. "They took the signature pages." "Which ones?" His eyes moved away. "Too many to name." At 5:59, the ballroom doors closed. The band began playing softly. Servers carried salads to the tables. My mother moved from guest to guest, touching shoulders and accepting sympathy for the regulatory misunderstanding. She did not appear frightened. She appeared brave. That was the performance she had selected. At 6:18, Aunt Susan leaned toward me. "Your mother says this could all be cleared up if you acknowledged helping the store." "I did not help open fraudulent accounts." "Lower your voice." "My voice is low. People are watching. They should." She pulled back. At 6:32, Caleb finally spoke to me. Paige gave them everything. She gave them what she had. She stole private messages. They were sent to her. She canceled the wedding. She left you. His jaw tightened. "You are enjoying this." "No. You always hated that I got more." "I hated being told I deserved less." "That is the same thing." It was not. But explaining the difference to him would have required a conscience he had spent years avoiding. At 6:47, dinner plates were cleared, the lights dimmed. A slideshow began: my parents' courtship, the wedding, the store opening, Caleb's childhood trophies. My high school graduation appeared for less than 3 seconds, then the business expansion, the warehouses, the delivery trucks purchased through a loan using my false employment information. Guests applauded. I watched a photograph of Caleb standing beside one truck. He looked proud. I wondered whether he knew then. The answer was yes. At 7:02, my father stepped onto the platform. He thanked the guests. His voice shook slightly. He thanked employees for loyalty, customers for trust, my mother for vision. Then he looked toward the family table. "And our children," he said. "Caleb and Nora, who have each shaped this family in their own ways. Caleb had shaped it through benefit. I had shaped it through available credit." The guests applauded. My father returned to his seat without meeting my eyes. At 7:09, my mother approached the lectern. The room settled. She knew how to hold attention. She had practiced in church committees, business meetings, and family dinners where the story needed repair. 25 years, she began, is not a perfect journey. People smiled. She spoke about hardship, risk, faith, the early years when she and my father worked late and sacrificed comfort. She thanked Caleb for stepping into leadership. Then she paused. Her eyes found me. "And I want to acknowledge our daughter, Nora." My body became still. 120 faces turned. My mother smiled with practiced sadness. "Our family has faced a painful misunderstanding in recent weeks." Nora discovered old financial records she did not understand. Out of fear, she involved outside agencies before allowing us to explain. The room changed. Not loudly. A shift of shoulders, a spoon placed down. Someone whispered near the back. My father stared at the table. Caleb looked straight ahead. My mother continued. "We do not blame her. Young people sometimes react before they know the weight their choices place on others." There it was. The room rearranged. I had discovered records. I had become afraid. I had reacted. The investigation was my choice. The harm belonged to them. The guilt belonged to me. My mother extended one hand toward the family table. "Nora, would you stand?" I did. "Not because," she asked. "Because I had decided before entering the room that if she used my name, I would answer with it." Applause began. Weak at first, then stronger, as guests followed the expected shape of reconciliation. My mother smiled. Come up here. I lifted the canvas bag. Caleb whispered, Don't. I walked toward the platform. 31 steps. I counted each one. At the lectern, my mother leaned toward me. Say that we are working it out, she whispered. I placed the blue binder on the lectern. The microphone carried the sound of the cover touching wood. A small, hard sound. My mother's smile disappeared. What is that? She whispered. A record. The microphone carried that too. The room went silent. I turned toward the guests. I had not prepared a speech, so I told the truth in plain sentences. I did not misunderstand old financial records. My mother reached for the microphone. I moved it closer to me. 6 accounts appeared on my credit report when I applied for a mortgage. The first was opened when I was 14. A murmur moved through the ballroom. My mother whispered, Stop. I continued. My income was listed as $48,000. I was in 8th grade. Caleb stood from the table. My father remained seated. The first account named my brother as an authorized user. Other applications used my parents' business address, my father's phone number, and forged signatures. My mother placed one hand over the microphone. This is neither the time nor the place. I looked at her. You made it the place when you called me confused. Her hand trembled, only slightly. I removed the Calder application from the binder. I did not consent to these accounts. I did not work as the chief financial officer of Bennett Family Home Supply. I did not create the companies filed in my name. I did not attend the bank meeting where another woman presented my driver's license. The whispers grew louder. An employee near the front stared at Caleb. A supplier crossed his arms. Aunt Susan covered her mouth. My mother turned toward the guests. Nora has been under extreme stress. No, I said. I have been under investigation records. A few people shifted. My sentence was awkward. Human, unrehearsed. That made it stronger than anything polished. I opened the binder to the proposed confession. My parents asked me to sign a statement saying I had allowed the accounts. I refused. My father stood. Nora. I looked at him. Did you know about the first card? He glanced at my mother. The whole room watched him repeat the choice he had made for 9 years. Silence or truth. My mother spoke first. Russell, do not participate in this spectacle. My father's face changed. The honest beat returned. This time, it lasted. Yes, he said. The microphone picked him up. My mother turned sharply. My father looked at me. I knew. The room became absolutely still. How old was I? I asked. 14. Did you bring Lily Moore to the bank using my license? He closed his eyes. Yes. My mother stepped away from the lectern. This is insane. Caleb moved toward the platform. You're trapping him. I asked 2 questions. You know he's scared. I was scared at 14. At 7:16, the ballroom doors opened. Agent Shaw entered with Detective Ortega and 2 other agents. They did not rush. They did not shout. The music had already stopped. Every person in the room saw them. Agent Shaw approached the platform. My mother went pale. Not frightened pale. Recognition. The moment when image finally met an institution that could not be rearranged. Diane Bennett, Agent Shaw said. I need to speak with you privately. My mother gripped the side of the lectern. Is this necessary in front of our guests? We attempted to contact you through counsel this afternoon. My attorney no longer represents us. We are aware. She turned toward my father. Russell Bennett, please remain where you are. Then to Caleb. Caleb Bennett, you too. Caleb's face emptied. What is this about? He asked. Agent Shaw did not answer in front of the room. One of the other agents handed my mother a document. She looked at the first page. This is wrong. Agent Shah remained calm. You may review it with counsel. My mother's voice rose for the first time. My daughter has fed you lies. Agent Shah looked at me only briefly. Then she looked back at my mother. The application records, security footage, electronic messages, tax filings, bank transfers, and recovered identification materials were not provided by one person. That sentence changed the room more than mine had. Not one person, not a daughter's accusation. Records from banks, footage, messages, files taken from the store, external proof. The mechanism my mother could not control. She pointed at the binder. She has been collecting private documents for months. Ms. Bennett, Agent Shah said, the materials recovered this morning included Nora Bennett's original identity documents, signature practice pages, creditor mail, and copies of false applications stored in a secured company location. My mother stared at her. Agent Shah continued. We also recovered communications concerning the statement you attempted to have Nora sign. Caleb sat down hard. My father remained standing. My mother's eyes moved around the ballroom. For help. Aunt Susan looked away. The suppliers looked at one another. Employees who had accepted her version of the morning now understood why federal agents had carried out computer, that the room had finally moved beyond her reach. This is a family matter, my mother said. Agent Shah's expression did not change. It is not. 3 words. Clean. Final. My mother's shoulders dropped. Not much. Enough. At 7:21, an agent asked her to step into the side corridor. She refused at first. Then Agent Shah repeated the request. My mother looked at me. You did this. I stood beside the blue binder. No. You documented it. Her face twisted. You ungrateful child. The words echoed through the microphone. There was no way to soften them, no way to describe them later as concern. The whole room heard. Caleb climbed the platform. He pointed at me. You think you won? Agent Shah stepped between us before he came close. I did not move. This isn't a game, I said. You destroyed the store. The store used my name. You destroyed Dad. He made choices. You destroyed my marriage. Paige left after learning the truth. You always hated me. I looked at him. No, I hated the price everyone made me pay for being your sister. He raised his voice. Mom was right. Some children cost more than they give back. There it was, for the 4th time. The drumbeat, the sentence that had followed me from the empty pencil case to the anniversary ballroom. My mother used it when my needs became inconvenient. Caleb used it when his benefits became visible. I had carried it for years like a balance I could never pay. I looked at both of them, then at my father. Some parents cost their children years they can never return. No one spoke. And some brothers spend what was never theirs. Caleb's face changed. I closed the binder. But the cost does not become the child. The sentence belonged to me, not them. At 7:25, Agent Shah escorted my mother into the corridor. Detective Ortega spoke quietly with my father. Another agent asked Caleb to remain seated. Guests began leaving in small groups. No one knew whether to say goodbye. A server stood near the kitchen doors holding a tray of untouched cake. The band packed instruments without making eye contact. Aunt Susan approached me. What have you done? She whispered. I looked at the emptying room. I answered when she used my name. She is your mother. Yes. She could go to prison. That decision is not mine. You could have handled this quietly. I tried quiet for 9 years. Her face tightened. You will regret being this hard. I thought of the yellow house sold to someone else, the denied mortgage, the false wages, Lily wearing my license, my father blocking the door. I regret what happened, I said. I do not regret recording it. She walked away. At 7:39, my father came toward me. Detective Ortega remained several feet behind him. My father's tie had loosened. His eyes were red. Your mother is being taken to the field office. Are you? Not tonight. Caleb? He is being interviewed. I nodded. My father looked at the binder. You planned this. I planned to correct her if she lied. You knew they would come. I knew investigators were nearby. I did not know the timing. He believed me. That seemed to hurt him more. If I had planned the public collapse, he could have called it revenge. Instead, the evening had collapsed under the weight of their own evidence. I told the truth up there, he said. Yes. Does that matter? It matters. Does it help? That is not my decision. His mouth trembled. I should have stopped it after the first card. Yes. I thought we would fix it. You opened more. Yes. I lost my house before I ever bought it. I know. No, you know the fact. You do not know what it felt like to sit in a mortgage office and learn that my future had been spent by people who called me irresponsible. He looked down. No, he said. I don't. One honest answer. This time, I did not need more. At 7:46, Sheila entered the ballroom. She had waited in the lobby until guests began leaving. She did not ask what happened. She saw the blue binder on the lectern, my mother gone, an agent speaking to Caleb. She came directly to me. Are you safe? Yes. Do you want to leave? Yes. I lifted the binder. My father reached toward it, then stopped. Nora. I looked at him. I am sorry, he said. The words arrived at last. Too small for the damage. Still real. I nodded once. Then I left. At 8:02, Sheila and I sat inside her car. Neither of us spoke for 3 minutes. I counted, 180 seconds. Then she handed me a bottle of water. You did not raise your voice, she said. I wanted to. That would have been understandable. My mother did. I heard. I drank half the bottle. What happens now? The next right thing. It was not an answer. It was enough. The consequences did not fall all at once. They arrived in packets. The first packet came 4 days later. 3 creditors removed accounts from my report pending final verification. My score rose by 91 points. The second packet arrived the next week. The tax identity unit confirmed that duplicate returns had been filed without my knowledge. Penalties connected to those filings were suspended while the records were corrected. The third packet came from the state business office. My name was removed from 2 companies after Daniel submitted identity theft records and supporting affidavits. The fourth was a letter from Midwest Equipment Finance. The $75,000 equipment loan was formally classified as fraudulent as to me. I was released from the obligation. Each envelope removed something: a balance, a title, a lie. I kept them in a 4th binder. This one was green, resolved, not forgiven, resolved. The criminal case moved more slowly. Lillian Moore entered a cooperation agreement. She admitted using my license and signing my name. She said my mother coached her for 3 weeks. They practiced my birth date, address history, and signature. Caleb gave her clothing similar to mine. My father drove her to the bank. Lily claimed she believed I had agreed. Messages recovered from her phone showed doubts. One text to Caleb said, "Are you sure Nora knows? This feels weird." Caleb replied, "She knows enough. Mom handles her." That sentence stayed with me. Mom handles her. I was not a daughter. I was a risk they believed my mother could manage. Lily turned over more messages. My mother had told her not to use my name in casual conversation. My father had warned her that bank officers asked unnecessary questions. Caleb had sent photographs of my signature and license. The evidence did not come from my memory. It came from their phones. The fifth packet contained formal charges. The language was technical: conspiracy, bank fraud, wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, false tax filings. The charges differed for each person. My mother faced the most. My father faced several connected to the business loans and identification use. Caleb faced charges tied to applications, property companies, and electronic transfers. Lily faced fewer because of her cooperation. I read the pages twice. Then I closed them. I did not celebrate. There was no music, no feeling of victory, only the knowledge that words on a page had finally named what happened. My mother was released while the case moved forward. She moved in with Aunt Susan after the Willow Bend house was placed under a financial restriction. My father rented a room near the store. The business remained closed. Its 4 employees received unpaid wages through a state fund after investigators separated employee claims from the company accounts. I was relieved. They had not created the fraud. They should not have carried it. Caleb and Paige's house was sold. The down payment had come from Carver Property Group. Paige surrendered the engagement ring because it had been purchased with a company card tied to a fraudulent application. She moved to another city. We exchanged 3 messages after that. No friendship grew between us. Not every witness needed to become family. Sometimes standing up late was simply the right thing done late. My mother sent letters through Aunt Susan. I returned the first 3 unopened. The Fort H came through Daniel because it contained a settlement proposal. My parents offered to transfer any remaining business assets to a restitution fund if I signed a statement asking prosecutors for leniency. Daniel read the proposal. "You are allowed to support leniency if that reflects your wishes," he said. "You are not required to trade your voice for repayment." What assets remain? Limited equipment, inventory, and possible equity in one property. Would the money go only to me? No. Banks, tax agencies, employees, and other creditors have claims. So signing would not repair my losses. Correct. Then why do they want it? Because a victim statement may influence how the court understands harm and responsibility. I looked at the pages. What do they want me to say? That the conduct arose from financial pressure rather than greed, that your parents intended repayment, and that the family has reconciled. We have not. I know. They used my name to buy property. Yes. They kept going after the store recovered. Records suggest that. I pushed the proposal back. No. Daniel nodded. No praise, no disappointment, just acceptance. I will decline it. I wrote my own victim statement months later. Not for the public, not for the anniversary guests, for the court. I described the mortgage office, the oldest account, the false wages, the years I could not explain why rent applications failed, the cost of higher insurance, the tax notices withheld from me, the fear of every unknown call, the way my father's number appeared beside debts he denied knowing, the way my mother turned care into an invoice, the way Caleb called benefits proof that he deserved more. I did not ask for the maximum punishment. I did not ask for mercy either. I asked the court to understand that identity theft inside a family changed more than a number. It changed childhood memories. It made every gift look borrowed, every rescued moment suspicious, every signature unsafe. It forced the victim to rebuild not only credit, but reality. My father accepted a plea agreement first. He admitted knowing about the initial account, participating in later loans, bringing Lily to the bank, and helping conceal notices. His cooperation helped investigators trace funds. My mother called him a traitor. Caleb called him weak. For once, my father's weakness worked in the direction of truth. Caleb accepted an agreement later, after messages and bank records placed him inside the applications. He never apologized to me. His statement said he had trusted our parents to manage family finances. The records showed him correcting Lily's answers, sending my documents, receiving property funds, and using the accounts. Trust did not explain participation. My mother fought the case longest. She said every account had been opened for family purposes. She said I benefited from living in the household. She said she intended to repay everything. She said she had acted as a mother managing shared resources. The prosecutor asked whether a child's social security number was a shared resource. My mother had no good answer. She eventually entered a plea after the court allowed several recovered messages into the case. One of them had been sent to my father after the first fraud report. Do not let Nora speak to anyone alone. She believes documents more than family. She was right. Documents had earned that trust. Sentencing occurred 14 months after the mortgage appointment. I attended. Not because I wanted to watch my family suffer, because I had spent years absent from rooms where my name was used. I would not be absent from the room where the truth was entered into the final record. My mother wore gray. My father wore a suit I recognized from the anniversary dinner. Caleb looked thinner. None of them sat together. The judge spoke about duration, planning, abuse of access, the repeated use of a minor's identity, the continuation of fraud after I became an adult, the attempt to make me sign a false admission. My father received a lower sentence because of cooperation and acceptance of responsibility. Caleb received a sentence that included confinement, financial restrictions, and restitution obligations. My mother received the longest. I will not repeat the exact years. The number mattered less to me than the findings. The court stated clearly that I had not consented, that I had not benefited in a way that made me responsible, that parental support was not repayment for fraud, that family status did not reduce the seriousness of the conduct. For the first time, an authority said what no relative had been willing to say. Raising me did not create a debt they could collect through my identity. Afterward, my father asked through Daniel whether I would meet him. I waited 6 months. Then I agreed to one supervised conversation in Daniel's conference room. My father entered carrying no envelope, no paperwork, no proposal. He sat across from me and placed his hands flat on the table. They looked older, veins raised beneath the skin, small scars from years of deliveries and repairs. I won't ask you to forgive me, he said. That is good. I kept telling myself it was temporary. I know. Every time temporary ended, there was another payment due. You could have stopped. Yes. You could have told me when I turned 18. Yes. You could have warned me before I applied for the mortgage. Yes. He answered without defense. It was the first real gift he had given me in years. Not excuses. Answers. I loved your mother, he said. That does not explain why you obeyed her. No. Did you love Caleb more? His eyes filled. No. Then why did he always receive more? Because he demanded more. Your mother believed his success would prove something about us. And me? You made fewer demands. So you thought I needed less? Yes. The word hurt. It was also true. Quiet children were often mistaken for children without needs. What did you think my future would look like? I asked. I thought we would repair the credit before it mattered. It mattered before the mortgage. I know that now. College housing, insurance, rent, loans, every rejection I thought was my fault. He lowered his head. I am sorry. I believed he was sorry. That did not restore trust. Both things could be true. He reached into his jacket. Daniel shifted slightly. My father noticed. It's only a photograph. He placed it on the table. The yellow house on Lark Street. The listing picture I had carried in my mortgage folder. How did you get that? You left a copy at our house years ago. I never went there with it. You showed your mother the listing on your phone. She printed it. I looked at the photograph. The maple tree, the white trim, the porch I had imagined unlocking. She knew? You wanted that house? Yes. She knew before the mortgage appointment? I had told her I was saving for a place on Lark Street. My mother's surprise on the phone had been another performance. You applied for a house without talking to us? She had known. Maybe not the date, enough to understand what the debt could cost. My father pushed the photograph closer. I am sorry about the house. You said that before. I know. It was the only loss I could understand then. And now? He looked at me. Now I understand I helped take years when you should have felt safe. That was the closest he came to naming the whole harm. I accepted the photograph, not as reconciliation, as evidence that he had finally looked beyond the balance. Before he left, he asked whether we would meet again. I don't know. He nodded. Fair. At the door, I stopped him. Dad, he turned. I asked the restitution office not to take your work tools. His face changed. He had spent 30 years collecting those tools. Saws, levels, drills, a red metal chest with his initials. They were among the few assets purchased before the fraud began. I had no legal control over most of the process, but when asked about personal property, I said the tools should remain available for lawful work after his release. That was my mercy beat, not erasing consequences, not pretending he had not harmed me, leaving him one honest way to rebuild. Why? He asked. Because justice does not need every object. He nodded. Then he left. My mother never apologized. She sent one final letter after sentencing. It was 8 pages. She described her childhood poverty, the pressure of running the store, my father's passivity, Caleb's needs, the cruelty of banks, the humiliation of the anniversary dinner. She wrote that I had always been difficult to love because I observed too much and forgave too little. Near the end, she repeated the line, "Some children cost more than they give back." I read it once. Then I placed it in the blue binder, not because I believed it, because it completed the record. Below her sentence, I wrote my own. Some children are charged for the love they were owed. Then I closed the binder. My credit repair took almost 2 years. Not every account disappeared quickly. One creditor sold a disputed debt even after receiving the police report. Daniel challenged it. A tax record remained incorrect for 11 months. A property filing resurfaced during a background check. Each time I opened the binders, each time I sent the record. The process was exhausting, but it was no longer confusing. Confusion had protected my family. Procedure protected me. The yellow house sold to a retired couple. I drove past it once after the case ended. They had painted the front door red. Tomato plants grew beside the porch. For a moment, grief returned. Then it passed. A house could be loved without belonging to me. A year later, I found another place. Smaller. $148,000. 2 bedrooms. A narrow kitchen. No maple tree. The front door was blue. The backyard had a chain-link fence and enough sun for tomatoes. My corrected credit qualified for the mortgage. The interest rate was not perfect, but it was mine. At the closing, the title officer placed 17 documents in front of me. I read every page. The agent joked that most buyers signed without reading. I don't, I said. My signature looked different from the one my mother taught me at 14. The N was rounder, no middle initial, no dot, no upward tail copied from her handwriting. I had changed it during the case. Not because the old one belonged to her, because I wanted the movement of my own hand to feel new. At 2:18 p.m. I signed the final document. At 2:23, the title officer gave me 2 keys. I placed them in my palm and counted them, one for the front door, one for the back. At 3:06, I unlocked the house for the first time. Sheila stood behind me carrying a small potted tomato plant. Daniel had sent a card. Paige mailed nothing, which felt appropriate. My father sent a simple note through Daniel. This door is yours. My mother sent nothing. I stepped into the empty living room. The walls were plain white. The floors creaked near the hallway. Sunlight came through the front window and formed a long rectangle across the floor. I placed the blue binders inside a locked cabinet in the second bedroom. Not on display, not destroyed, preserved. Then I carried the tomato plant to the kitchen window. For years, I thought vindication would feel like watching the people who hurt me lose everything. It did not. It felt like signing my own name and knowing no one else had permission to use it. It felt like a door that opened only for my key. It felt like a future that had stopped arriving with someone else's bill attached. That is my story. If you have ever been taught that protecting yourself was betrayal, remember this. Loyalty does not require you to carry a lie, and love does not give anyone ownership of your identity. Comment the word name if you stayed with me to the end, and tell me where you are listening from. Subscribe for more stories where quiet people stop asking permission to believe the evidence. My family spent 9 years treating my name like an account they could draw from. I spent the rest of my life making sure it signed only what I chose.